Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto is a witch. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. Konohagakure, a village full of skilled ninja trained to become master of the shadows and deceit. Even though civilians live also in this village, many are trained warriors ready to spill blood to live or if the mission is to kill. Today, even after the horrible tragedy of the Kyuubi no Yoko attacking 6 years ago, Konoha was peaceful and full of life as many children wishing to become ninja are beginning their first day at Konoha's Ninja Academy. Boom! Smoke billowed from a small hut within a small swamp area in Konoha's woods. Hack, hack, hack. The door of the hut slammed open for a 6-year-old child to run out and hit the ground. Oi, I think I used too much powdered frog eyes. A blonde-haired child with whisker-like marks groaned while getting up as a crystal ball rolled next to the child who was wearing an old white shirt and black short. Idiot! Naruto flinched as screaming came from the crystal ball. You need to be careful when dealing with making potions. Ow, sensei. The blonde's sapphire blue eyes looked at the orb, which was blood red with a black shadow in it that if a normal person would look at it, the shadow looked like a witch with glowing orange eyes. Could you tone it down a bit? I think the explosion itself did quite well, giving me a headache. Ah, why did I take you on as my apprentice again, Naruto? The shadow sighed. Because of my abilities with mana. Naruto sighed while getting up, dusting off. But now I have to make sure to check 5 times to make sure I have everything measured correctly before putting it together. Moron. Naruto flinched from the loud female scream from the crystal ball. You should be just doing it twice. Thank goodness you are studying aboard, or I'd be ashamed as my title would be destroyed because of your stupid mistakes. Naruto picked up the ball with a frown. I'm sorry, sensei. But, you know, I'm still just 6. That, and everyone makes mistakes. Naruto groaned, shifting shoulders for bone to pop. But you make too many. Naruto sighed as the blonde wondered if the Hokage would take the blonde off the ninja program thanks to hearing difficulties thanks to the shadow in the ball. RRRRRRRRRING. Huh? Naruto blinked, looking in the hut as the smoke had cleared to expose the inside the rundown, abandoned-looking hut. The inside was clean and looked completely like a witch's abode as it was dark and filled with thick books, all sorts of jarred objects from people's nightmares, and cauldrons and other things used for science or making witches' brews. Next to a bed that looked more like a nest made from old pillows and sheets with books and such about was a pumpkin alarm clock ringing like there's no tomorrow. Naruto walked over to it and picked it up while stopping the alarm. Nani? Why did I had this alarm clock set again? Don't know, brat. Usually, you just sleep away or don't sleep at all while training. That or make dolls. The witch in the ball sighed, looking at the stitched together dolls that filled the room alone with dolls Naruto had saved from the dump and refurbished. A lot of them looked like a child's worst horror, but Naruto loved them. They were the only friends the blonde had from the world the blonde came from. Yeah, why would I have set this alarm then? Naruto looked at the 2 calendars on the wall nearby. One was a scroll with strange letters on it that no one in Konoha could read, but the other calendar was of Halloween characters and that there was a day circle in red for that mouth with Academy First Day within the circle. Naruto paled. Nani? I forgot today is when I go to the academy. Naruto shouted, grabbing an orange jack-o'-lantern shoulder sack and running out the door while placing the crystal ball back on its metal stand. Bye sensei, see you later. The witch in the ball let out a sigh. How can that Gaki be a ninja when being so loud? Doll witch darkness. 6-year-old Uchiha Sasuke was so hyped up. He was finally going to become a ninja like his family and brother. He would get out of his brother's shadow and show the Uchiha clan his worth. Now, you all. Sorry I'm late. Ack. Everyone in the class blinked as a blonde-haired 6-year-old ran into the room and tripped on his own feet and slid on the floor to hit the first, middle row of desks with his back end upside down. Owie? Tears was in the blonde's sapphire blue eyes as he got up. Uzumaki Naruto. The blonde looked at the tanned sensei with a scar over his nose as the man frowned at the blonde. Your class is 2 doors down. Huh? Really? Sasuke as did the rest of the room sweated as the blonde looked at him with confusion before bowing. I'm sorry for interrupting your class then, sir. Excuse me. The sheepishly left the room as Amino Iruka, the sensei of the class, let out a sigh. How the kid managed to get into one of the classes of the upperclassmen, he would not know from what he just saw. What a weirdo. That guy probably is an idiot. Sasuke let out a sigh as the class continued on. Sasuke was really happy at the end of the day when class was over, but frowned when he saw neither his mother nor father came to greet him. They must be late, Sasuke concluded. His father was part of the military police and his mother still went on missions from time to time. He didn't expect his older brother to come as he was a full-time ninja, but he could understand him not coming to something minor. But his parents didn't bring him for his first day of school, so they should at least pick him up, right? Huh? Sasuke blinked as he noticed the blonde who had ran into class earlier sitting on the swing, alone and away from all the other kids meeting with their parents. Are his parents late as well? Ah, I can't believe they let that thing into the academy. Sasuke looked at two mothers who were glaring at the blonde. I mean, it's just a threat being alive. The woman sneered with hate. Sasuke couldn't understand. Shush, we're not supposed to talk about it. Sasuke watched as the two women left with their kids before Sasuke looked back at the blonde. Thing? Why is he a thing? Sasuke looked at the blonde's face only for his eyes to widen at the evil smirk on the blonde's face with a crazy look in the blonde's sapphire blue eyes. Nani? Sasuke thought in horror when his eyes locked the blonde who began chuckling when the guy realized Sasuke was looking at him. Sasuke. Sasuke snapped out from looking at the blonde and looked up to see his brother walking up. Ni-chan. Sasuke ran up to his brother, happy he came. Why are you here? Where's mother and father? Father's got held over at the police department and mother sent me to get you as she had to cook dinner. 11-year-old Uchiha Itachi sighed as he noticed his brother frowned. Don't worry, Sasuke. Sometimes things happen. Itachi poked his little brother's head. Yeah. Sasuke grinned before looking back at where the blonde was and blinked to see the guy had disappeared with the swing slightly moving. What are you looking at, Sasuke? Itachi looked at the swing with a raised eyebrow. There was a blonde-hair kid over there a minute ago. He had blue eyes and strange markings of his face. Sasuke sighed, not wanting to lie to his brother though he noticed Itachi's eyes narrowed. Oh, well, let's go home, Sasuke. Sasuke was shocked when he heard some very slight amount pity in his brother's voice for the blonde. Why the heck would my brother have pity for that blonde? Sasuke thought, wondering what was with the blonde. He was really weird. The little Uchiha's curiosity began to nag at him. Dull witch darkness. Sasuke carefully followed the blonde before him. Over the past month, he had been stalking the blonde, his curiosity refusing to let him let the weird blonde enigma. So far, all Sasuke was able to gather was the blonde's name was Uzumaki Naruto, somehow the same age as he was, but up in the 2-year inward classes, and hated by the village as if he was a demon. However, the last fact was very confusing to Sasuke. What could a 6-year-old have done to be hated so badly people would throw stones at the boy or sneer at him calling him demon? But with such treatment, Sasuke guessed that was why the blonde acts weird at times. Where are you going? Sasuke thought as the blonde headed into the woods. Even though he had been spying on the blonde for a month, he had still had stuff to do and such, so he couldn't follow the blonde for long periods. Except today, which was a weekend day, and he'd done all his homework so that he could track the blonde almost all day, as he even got up early to do it. Sasuke followed Naruto all the way to a swamp which he didn't know Konoha had and then saw the blonde go into an old hut that looked abandoned. What are you doing here? Sasuke thought as he peeked through one of the first-floor windows. Oi, sensei, I'm back, Naruto chimed as putting his hand on a clear crystal. Sasuke's eyes widened when it suddenly glowed red and a shadow formed inside the ball. What do you want? I can't supervise you all the time. I have clients to deal with as well. A female voice came from the orb. I want to form a contract with you wanted me to form. Naruto evilly smirked. I see. The shadow snapped its fingers in the orb and a large, old book came out of the many piles and stacks of books and shot over to the blonde where the blonde caught it with ease. In that book, there are summoning circles. In the back pages is what you are looking for. I don't care which one you do, but read the instructions carefully and follow them to the letter. Don't you want to watch me do the summoning, sensei? Naruto chimed. Sure, why not? The shadow let out a sigh. I'm interested in which one you will be summoning. You know, once you form a pact with one, you have it till you cancel the contract or die. Hi, Naruto chimed, taking the book and the glass ball outside, which Sasuke quickly hid behind a tree. He watched as the blonde drew a strange circle with all sorts of complex shapes and small strange letters all around it. That's a rare one used. The shadow in the ball sighed. I know. I want to be different. Naruto chimed, checking several times to make sure he had the circle perfect. Alright, from the depth of the magic realms, I call forth the being of judgment. Come forth and hear my oath. Naruto shouted as the circle glowed and the wind kicked up around it for it to spiral around as a ball of light came out of the circle before flashing, and suddenly a large female-looking knight being in jet black and sliver armor with metal horns and a large purple cape coming out from its shoulders appeared before the blonde 6-year-old. Yes, it worked. En Nani? Sasuke kept his hand over his mouth to keep from making noises. The blonde before him just summoned something that looked like a demon. Could this blonde really be a demon? The armored being looked at Naruto. Hi, I wish to vow an oath with you. Naruto chimed while holding up his hand. I don't have a clan yet, but I do plan to make one. Wait, is that a pact breaker there? The knight shook its head. Oh, good. So, will you form a pact? The knight nodded and outstretched its hand for Naruto to take it, and in a flash of light, the knight was gone, but Naruto looked at her hand. Yata, I did it. Naruto chimed, showing off a strange tattoo which was on the blonde's palm and was similar to the circle that was on the ground, but now gone, but simpler. Good, now I don't have to worry about you much and you can do that kind of work easily? But what is this of making a clan? The female in the orb sighed as Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Simple, I'm only staying here to learn ninja stuff to help me when I go back to your home, sensei. I know no one is going to let become a ninja here. Sasuke's eyes widened, remembering what the parents would sometimes sneer about the blonde being in the academy. They even began sabotaging my education by putting me in the more experienced classes and do dirty tricks like give me harder tests which weren't covered in class. If only they saw they didn't have to go through the trouble, as I'm only going into the academy for Oji-san. You shouldn't call the leader of your village an old man. The female scolded the blonde. Well, he doesn't mind. He gets tired of being referred as Hokage-sama, so what I call him is sort of refreshing for him. Naruto sighed. But, I can't tell him I don't want to be a ninja. I mean, he looked after me even though he wasn't able to do it much. He would be sad if he found out I didn't want to become a ninja. I understand, he is one of your precious people. The shadow sighed. But, you also are making sure you can protect yourself. Your abilities are very powerful and many greedy, evil people will want that power. Yeah, many people here don't know of it. Kind of ironic that the old book Oji-san got me for my 3rd birthday would actually connect me to you, sensei, and my abilities. Naruto said while looking at the sky. I'll wait till they kick me out of the academy before I disappear from here and join you, sensei. I want you to be a part of the clan I make. Part-time? The shadow growled in annoyance. Yeah, just the missions where I will really need your help, or I want you to come with me. I mean, you aren't called the Witch of the Fens for nothing, as you live in the Tramdine Fens. Naruto grinned at the glass orb. Good, you better not call for my assistance a lot. The shadow glared at Naruto. Hi, I know, sensei. Naruto sheepishly grinned. But there is another reason I decided to train abroad. Really? The shadow asked. I want to make a new job class. Naruto chimed. My studies under you as well as my harsh physical training as well, ninja training. I hope to make a class of amazing strength to show off and make witchery a powerful magic job. Witchery? That has to be a forbidden art. Sasuke thought in shock at the blonde. Was the fact the blonde was able to use this witchery that everyone hated him? But then again, it's possible no one knows the blonde was doing this witchery. I got to study up on this. Sasuke thought, pulling out his Naruto notebook and began taking notes of his findings to help him with his research later. Where's my little brother at? Itachi looked around the library questionably. His brother had been begging him to train him till lately. And when I finally get a chance to train him, he disappears. Itachi kept his growl in his mind as he remembered someone saying they saw Sasuke go into the library, so he had looked in all the sessions Sasuke would look like ninjutsu and stuff, but didn't find him. Huh? Itachi blinked as he passed the fiction area and found his brother reading several books. What are you reading, Sasuke? The younger brother jumped as Itachi snatched the book out of his brother's hands. Witches? Magic? Itachi blinked as Sasuke blued in embarrassment, especially when Itachi smirked and ruffled his hair. At least one of us is getting a proper childhood. What are you talking about? Sasuke asked, looking at his brother with shock when Itachi sat down. I never got to experience my childhood properly because of war and having to become a ninja quickly to survive. Itachi sighed. I never got to play games and really be silly and all when I was younger. Always serious. In a way, I was kind of scared of training you as I was scared you would lose the one thing I never got to have. Really? Sasuke looked down before remembering his research. Witchery was what witches would use, and they could do all sorts of things though for a price with magic. They could summon beasts to do their deeds and make potions that could make someone fall in love with another or make a person beautiful. Hey, Itachi, if you knew a real witch, what would you do? Well, luckily I read fantasy as my escape to help deal with the stress of being a ninja. So, I guess I would see if this witch could see me in the past and I got kicked myself in the rear end and tell myself even if I was being forced to be serious, to still have fun as a kid as life is short anyways. Which would probably make me, as well as possibly you, a lot happy as I would have a better personality than Mr. No Emotion. Itachi sighed in monotone as Sasuke sweated at the fact that was an actually possible theory that could work. However, witches don't exist. What if I told you I saw a witch? Sasuke asked. And who would that be? Itachi asked, wondering what got his brother into finally some normal kid things like fantasy. Uzumaki Naruto. Itachi, however, frowned at his brother. He isn't a witch. Sasuke looked at Itachi with pleading eyes, but his brother kept going. He's just a victim of human stupidity for being born during a tragedy. That's the demon and hate junk I saw following him. Itachi nearly fell out his chair, but caught himself. But, he's a real witch. I watched him use magic to summon a demon-looking armor with this magic circle like one of these. Sasuke pointed at one of the books with a magic circle on the front of the cover. Also, he was talking to a shadow in a crystal ball that looked a lot like this. Sasuke pointed at a picture of an old witch with a pointed witch hat on. Are you sure? Itachi asked, now interested in the possibilities. If Naruto was now really a witch. No, a witch apprentice, then possibly the blonde would want revenge on Konoha? Yeah, he also said the academy was sabotaging his education, but he doesn't care as he doesn't want to be a ninja, but wants to learn the skills so he could make a new job class. Whatever that means. Sasuke sighed, confused. He got some answers, but also a lot more questions. He just wants to leave Konoha once he is strong enough to protect himself as people would want his powers, and join his sensei before making a clan. Itachi blinked in total shock. Maybe Naruto wasn't brought into the dark side. Maybe he got tired of the torment from Konoha, but also knows the truth and hence what he means by powers. Sasuke, could you show me later where you saw Naruto doing this kind of stuff? Sure, Sasuke chimed before they saw a Chunin coming up. Yo, Itachi. Sorry to bother you when you were on your day off, but there's a mission need to be done, but the guy it was going to do it became sick. Sure, I'll do it. Let me take my brother home first. I mean, he'll be late home if I don't help him put these books up. Itachi sighed as the Chunin nodded and left. Sasuke pouted before Itachi smirked. I'll probably be home late, but I'll wake you up and we'll go check out this place you saw Naruto doing witch things so he won't know. Sasuke smiled as he saw what Itachi was planning. So, let's hurry and put up these books. Hi, Sasuke chimed as Itachi frowned behind his brother's back. He just wondered why Naruto was wanting to make a clan of witches. Witch doll darkness. I didn't know there was a swamp near Konoha. Itachi sighed as he followed his brother. Naruto really did pick a good place to hide his magic as it was almost to the Konoha borderline for the entire village. Plus, since it was a swamp, not many people including a ninja would go in as swamps were annoying to even ninja. Yeah, though, lucky, there aren't a lot of bugs. Sasuke chimed, though he was also glad that they had weekends off at the academy as he would be sleeping late today as it was after midnight right now. That's because it's fall, Sasuke, and getting colder. Itachi sighed before hearing something ahead. Ack! Sasuke weakly gasped when Itachi grabbed him from behind and threw him into the bushes aside them. Huh? Sasuke looked through the leaves to see Itachi staring ahead and then Sasuke heard footsteps. Oh, boy, this is my lucky day. Sasuke looked to where Itachi was looking at a man wear a black cloak with red clouds and wearing an orange spiral mask with only one eye's hole stopped before Itachi. Well, it's nice to meet you, Itachi-kun. I was about to go to the Uchiha compound and contact you to meet me, but look at my luck to find you already free and out of Konoha's nosy ears. Who are you and why are you here? Itachi growled, narrowing his eyes at the man before him. I'm Uchiha Madara and I was wondering if you'd be interested in joining me. He's an Uchiha? Sasuke thought, wondering who in their right mind would be caught dead wearing an orange mask while the 6-year-old sweated at the fact the man was possibly Uchiha. Though, Sasuke never heard of this Madara in the Uchiha clan before. However, Itachi must have heard of him as Sasuke saw his brother got into a defensive position. I'm not here to fight. Just simple talk. The orange masked man sighed though Itachi stayed prepared. It seems the Uchiha clan have become quite a mess compared to the times of the past. What are you talking about? Itachi narrowed his eyes at the man before him. Madara should be dead with how old he should be now. HMPH. You know the Uchiha clan is planning to try and take over Konoha. Sasuke's eyes widened. There was no way his family wanted to do that. Why would the Uchiha want to betray their home? They are talking about it, but I don't think it is going to happen. Itachi growled back as Sasuke looked at his brother. My father doesn't want bloodshed, but I also understand his reasoning for wanting to get some changes in Konoha. People are really being stupid thinking the Uchiha clan caused the Kyuubi to attack, but there are even worse people currently in control of Konoha and the Hokage also knows of the threat as well. Why are the Uchiha being accused of being part of the Kyuubi attack? Sasuke knew of the fox demon that attacked Konoha, but how could his clan cause the attack? The attack was 6 years. Wait, Naruto was born 6 years ago. And had whisker marks. Demon? See, could the Yondaime Hokage have bound? No, he sealed the fox in Naruto. I don't know how, but that would explain why the fourth died to defeat the fox. He died sealing the fox away and Naruto ended up being seen as the fox when he is really a jail. Sasuke pieced everything together. Now he understood why the blonde didn't want to be a ninja. He still cared for Konoha, but Naruto knew Konoha would care for him. So, he was planning to leave Konoha and make a new life for himself. But why would the Uchiha clan is believed to cause the whole Kyuubi attack to happen in the first place? That is true. But even so the Uchiha clan's power and patience is wearing thinner and thinner every day. It won't be long till Konoha begins to see the Uchiha clan's real self and the clan is already on the road to destruction and I believe there is no way to get the clan off that road. Uchiha Madara sighed. You really want the end of Konoha, don't you? Itachi narrowed his eyes. Before, when I turned the last Kyuubi host into the Kyuubi reborn and made Kyuubi attack 6 years ago, I did. Both brothers' eyes widened in shock. However, then, I realized that such stupid hate is wrong. So, instead, I have a different plan. You monster. Itachi shouted in anger, his emotionless mask lost. Don't you realize all the pain and suffering you caused? The Uchiha clan wouldn't be in the position they are now in. A boy would have had his parents and a happy life instead of being seen the Kyuubi reborn, and many people would be around. Who are you to come and ask you to join you when I know you for sure your intentions are clearly evil? Oh, dear, I guess you are going to be stubborn and refuse to help me. But, I really need you for my plans to work. Itachi and Sasuke's eyes widened when the man suddenly disappeared before them and Sasuke then saw the man had somehow teleported behind Itachi and making hand seals very fast for even Sasuke to see. Luckily, I know a jutsu that will make you think different. Og. Itachi screamed as a bright flash came from Madara and Sasuke was blinked by the light and bit his lips to keep him from making a sound as he rubbed his eyes which hurt a lot. He heard a thump and guessed his brother collapsed to the ground. Well, once you wake up, you will be my perfect little puppet. But, I better take you somewhere a bit more appealing than this swamp. Sasuke heard as he guessed his brother's body was picked up and the man known as Madara teleported off with his brother. Ni-chan. Sasuke mumbled as he cried, blinking as his eyes began to come back to normal. Sasuke. Sasuke froze when he heard his brother's voice and it was weak and barely audible. Sasuke saw Madara was gone, but couldn't see his brother. Ni-chan, where are you? Sasuke shouted, coming out of the bushes as it was safe. He really was glad his chakra wasn't really developed thanks to be not tapped into as it must have made the clearly criminal Uchiha think he was just an animal frozen in fear from having two humans near it. Sasuke, where are you? Sasuke looked down and his eyes widened in horror when he saw a bluish-white orb floating near the ground and the top was flaming up like the orb was on fire. "Ni-chan?" Sasuke asked, picking the orb up, expecting it to burn. However, Sasuke found it was warm and slowly pulsing as if to show it was alive. "Where are you? I can't see anything, are you, alright?" Sasuke then noticed the orb where his brother's voice was coming out of was fading. Shot. Sasuke cursed. He was freaking holding his brother's soul. It was the only thing Sasuke could think it be, as it was proven by Madara calling his brother's body a perfect puppet, and if he didn't do something soon, his brother's soul was going to fade away. "Naruto!" Sasuke shouted in, remembering Naruto was a witch. He would know how to save Itachi's soul. However, Sasuke noticed that with how fast the soul was fading and he would not be able to reach Naruto in time. Then, the 6-year-old thought of a rash, and probably the stupidest, idea he could come up with the stress and time he had. Sasuke stuffed the soul in his mouth, gagging as he felt it in his throat, and suddenly it was gone and his eyes widened as everything became much more crisp and everything had better details than before. "Where are you? I can see, but I can't see you." Sasuke heard his brother's voice in his head. "I'm here. You're in my body. Hold on. I know who can help us, so don't talk and waste your energy, as I don't know how long you can stay in my body." Sasuke shouted as he ran for the hut, looking up and grinning when he saw smoke going up into the sky thanks to the full moon. "La la la, pumpkins, pumpkins. Oh, how I love pumpkins." Sasuke's eyes lit up with joy as he heard a similar voice singing. "Oh, I love pumpkins as much as dolls. And books. Oh, now do my back." Sasuke ran full speed for the door of the hut, slamming the door open of the hut. Sasuke's face turned beet red when he saw Naruto in a metal tub full of water and suds bent over the edge for a floating bush to scrub the blonde's back. "Oh, ho, hello, naughty." Naruto chimed at Sasuke while getting up for Sasuke to recoil and stumble back. "What's wrong? Don't chaw like what you see." Nani? You're a girl?" Sasuke screamed in horror, covering his eyes. "My virgin eyes." He was now a peeping Tom like cousin Shisui. He did not want to one. Sure, he didn't hate girls, but he didn't want to get beaten to a pulp by them for seeing them bathing. Hey, my body isn't ugly," Naruto growled, drying off while glaring at Sasuke. "Naruto, I believe he means he was not supposed to have seen you naked. Does the Humes there have the same traditions of mankind?" Sasuke looked up to see the glass ball with the shadow in it. "No, must be a kid thing." Naruto sighed, now with a towel wrapped around her. You're the Uchiha from that class one ran into a month ago. Wasn't your eyes dark gray or something? What? Sasuke looked to his side in a mirror, and to his disbelief he had red eyes that only his clan had. "I awakened the Sharingan, huh?" Sasuke looked closer in the mirror to see something was off with his Sharingan. It had all 3 wheel swirls, however, they weren't wheel swirls, but perfect circles. And the number 2 thing off was the fact his pupils were oval-like and silted, much like a cat's pupils. What happened to my eyes? Wait a second? Sasuke closed his eyes when the blonde walked up to him to keep from seeing the blonde girl's naked body, even though right now it was covered by a towel. "What the? That can't be the ability I think it is." Sasuke heard the shadow's voice said before his eyes widened when a hand shot into his throat and he gagged, tears going down his cheeks as the hand and arm went deeper before he felt something coming out of his body and his vision returned a little back to normal, though still crisp. Sasuke gasped as Naruto pulled her arm and hand out of his throat and mouth before he puked on the floor. He panted, his vision swinging as he was dizzy. My, you are naughty, indeed." Sasuke looked up to see the blonde's crazy grin as she was holding Itachi's soul. "But, sensei, I believe we have a Hume with an ability similar that of morphers." "I see. A very interesting thing for a Hume with such skills similar of that of the new Mo." "Morpher? Mo?" Sasuke asked before he closed his eyes and everything drifted into darkness. "Which dull darkness?" Sasuke looked around, surrounded by darkness. Ni-chan, where are you?" Sasuke shouted before he saw his brother far off. Ni-chan. Sasuke ran towards his brother only for his brother to turn into a flaming ball of a soul. Ni-chan. Sasuke sat up, wide awake in his bed with tears in his eyes. Huh? Sasuke blinked as he found himself in his room. Was that all a dream? Sasuke thought before finding a piece of paper in his hand and opened it. XX yo naughty. I need you to visit my hut with a picture of the body the soul you ate and took out of you looked like. I am keeping the guy or gal in a place so his or her soul won't either disappear or turn ghost on us, but I need to make a second body as what I am doing now will only last a few days. Also, lay off the sweets and junk food. You wait a lot. From Naruto. P.S. You need to explain to me what happened to this guy or gal for them to have his or her soul pushed out when you bring the picture, as I can tell this soul is not really to be collected by the Shinigami yet. XX. That wasn't a dream. Sasuke stuffed the note in his pillow before he began to rub his eyes, which ached. Ow, Sasuke, what's wrong? Did you just shout? Uchiha Makoto came into her son's room and noticed Sasuke rubbing his eyes. Are you alright? My eyes hurt. Sasuke grumbled, rubbing his eyes as they really did hurt, and it seemed covering his eyes from the light lessened the pain. Let me see. You probably just got. Makoto's face filled with shock when she saw Sasuke's eyes. Fugaku, get up here this instant. A very stoic Uchiha Itachi flinched when Fugaku had jumped and dropped his coffee and wailed in pain from it spilling on him. Itachi just went back to his breakfast as Fugaku got a towel and got the coffee off him before going upstairs to find Makoto in Sasuke's room. Makoto, what's wrong? The last time you screamed like that was when you mistaken me for a peeping Tom. Fugaku sighed, remembering how painful that mistake of not knocking on the door of the bathroom when still a newlywed. Look, Makoto faced Sasuke's head to his father and Fugaku's eyes widened as well. No way. My neck is starting to ache. Sasuke grunted as Makoto let go of her son, who rubbed his neck and closing his eyes for the headache he was beginning to get from his aching eyes went away. When he opened his eyes again, the pain came back, so he closed his eyes. I'm calling the doctor. Makoto got a nod from Fugaku before she left. Sasuke, why are you keeping your eyes closed? Because they hurt when open. Sasuke turned to his father's voice. I see, hypersensitivity. Fugaku sighed. I can't believe this. How is this possible? What's wrong? Sasuke asked, very confused. Nothing. Sasuke, however, could tell something was worrying his father. Father, I'm leaving on a mission now. Sasuke flinched at the cold, almost emotionless voice he had. He knew it was from his brother, but it wasn't. It was too distant and without emotion. Even though Itachi did his best to hide emotion, Sasuke could always pick up some emotion in his brother's voice, at least when he was around him. Huh? What's wrong with Sasuke? Nothing. You should get going or you'll be late. Sasuke heard no response as he heard footsteps going away from the room. Now, he knew for sure that dream was real. Itachi would have said something and then, if the mission wasn't really important, be late to see what was wrong. But, how'd I tell my parents the danger? Sasuke thought, remembering what he heard Uchiha Madara said, and now he had his brother's body like a puppet. I usually don't do house visits, so I might not be able to see what's wrong with your son's eyes. Sasuke turned his head towards where he heard a doctor that was an Uchiha came in with Makoto. Huh? Why is his eyes closed? I think he's experiencing some hypersensitivity to his eyes. Fugaku sighed. There was clearly worry in his voice. Sasuke-chan, can you open your eyes so I can see what your parents are so worked up about? Sasuke opened his eyes, flinching at the painful headache that came with opening them and the light seeming blinding. Sasuke, however, noticed the shock in the doctor's eyes. What was everyone so shocked about? Sasuke quickly covered his eyes when the doctor tried shining a light over them. Okay, clearly some hypersensitivity, like a first-time awakening of the Sharingan. Sasuke was the one now shocked as the doctor pinched the bridge of his nose. Though, this is the first time I've seen it activate this way. It's kind of like in a dormant form of the Byakugan from what I see. Possibly, either Sasuke's Sharingan is possibly as a waking up slowly or he evaded it and there's some kind of small problem with his eyes. Probably the latter, as he had all three swirls. Huh? They're circles? Sasuke really wanted to close his eyes, but the doctor kept them open. Sasuke, can you use chakra? No, not yet. I just started the academy. Sasuke wondered what was going on, but right now, he wanted to close his eyes so bad. His head was pounding like crazy. I see. His Sharingan did activate, but he had no control over it. That would explain the extreme case of hypersensitivity. His chakra is unconsciously turning it on and off in sort of the way of the Byakugan. Tell me, did you experience something very stressful? What do you mean? Sasuke asked, closing his eyes when the doctor took his hands off them. Like something that made you very emotional. The doctor sighed as Sasuke didn't know what to say. He didn't know what would happen to Itachi's body and the clan if they knew what he knew. Wait, he had a bad dream which he shouted from. Makoto stated, when I came into his room, he was rubbing his eyes as they hurt, so could it be possible that a nightmare caused this? Well, usually not. But then again, the theory is that stress or emotional distress can cause the Sharingan to activate, so it is possible. Can you remember anything from this dream of yours, Sasuke? The doctor asked. And not really. Except Ni-chan dying. Sasuke told the truth. He had to get with his mother and father later to tell them what happened to Itachi, which was the result of the dream. I see. That right there could be enough to do it for a 6-year-old to activate his Sharingan. I'll need to do a better exam to see exactly what problems a premature activation like this could have. The doctor sighed. What's wrong with me activating my Sharingan now? Sasuke asked. Itachi activated his when he was 8. Yes, but your eyes don't fully mature and are still developing till you are 7 years of age. We already see one problem with your Sharingan, and it's painfully hypersensitivity with your eyes. The doctor patted Sasuke's shoulder. I'll go get a pair of sunglasses from my office for when I have to do eye operations so the light doesn't hurt your eyes, as now it could damage your eyesight. I'll set up my office so you can bring him into my office later today for the full exam. Can I still go train? Sasuke asked, lying, but he couldn't tell them about Naruto. Not before he confirmed she was really a witch and was helping him. Not really, but the glasses I'm going to get makes a person nearly blind indoors, so you can play around outside till your appointment comes up. But no rough housing or training. The doctor scolded as Sasuke nodded. Thank you. Makoto sighed as the doctor left. I best huh? Makoto and Fugaku looked at Sasuke when Sasuke grabbed his mother's dress. Is Itachi gone? Sasuke asked, fear in his voice. What's wrong, Sasuke? Makoto asked as Fugaku could tell Itachi wasn't in the house. Yes, he went on a mission. Should I call him back? Fugaku asked. Sure. He saw doing that as stupid, but right now, his son was suffering thanks to a premature awakening of the Sharingan, so canceling a mission was okay for Itachi. No, it's alright. Sasuke swallowed as his parents dropped it as Sasuke trying to be a big boy and left to finish as well as take another shower and redress for Fugaku their morning routine. If I tell them, or the Uchiha clan, then Madara might find out, as he is using Itachi's body as a puppet, and this could spell major trouble. I need Naruto's help. Sasuke flinched when he heard footsteps again. Here you are, Sasuke-chan. Sasuke relaxed when he heard the doctor and felt something like plastic put in his hands. He opened his eyes to see strange-looking sunglasses, but he guessed they were to make sure no light got directly to the eyes, and put them on and sighed in relief he could now see without pain. However, he noticed someone standing behind the doctor, even though the doctor was right about the glasses being very dark. Who is that behind you? Huh? What do you mean? The doctor looked behind his back to see no one was there. There's an old lady there with round glasses, graying hair, and looks like a nurse behind you. Sasuke said, not noticing the shock on the doctor's face. Can I go now? Sure. The doctor stuttered before Sasuke got out of bed as the doctor left the room and went to Sasuke's parents. So, Sasuke is fine till we take him for the exam later today? Makoto asked as Fugaku came into the kitchen with fresh clothes on. Yes, but I think he has an extra ability with his Sharingan. The doctor sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. We'll probably know for sure if he had the ability I think he has. What ability? Fugaku asked, knowing the Uchiha Council would be wanting to know why his son was wearing sunglasses. I think he can see the dead. Witch doll darkness. Sasuke gulped as he stood before the hut Naruto worked at. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. Sasuke paled. He remembered how the blonde acted yesterday. The blonde could be an evil and already at Itachi's soul and was planning to. Yo, naughty. Sasuke managed to jump high enough to grab hold of the roof of the single-story roof and look down to see Naruto wearing the usual old white shirts and black shorts along with the strange pumpkin-like bag the blonde had. Don't do that. Sasuke shouted as he let go and landed on the ground and pointed at the blonde. You almost gave me a heart attack. Sorry. Well, let's get down to business. Naruto chimed while going into the hut, and with a snap of her fingers, the candles in the hut instantly lit and Naruto sat on this strange bed of sheets and pillows, tossing a pillow onto the floor for Sasuke to sit in. So, where's Itachi's soul? Sasuke asked, glaring at the blonde. He didn't trust her as he remembered reading some witches were evil and the blonde could possibly be an evil one that just wants to find a nice isolated place to live and then drawn in innocent people to feed off them to stay immortal. There, Sasuke looked up on the table where Naruto was pointing to see Itachi's soul floating inside a glass box with strange symbols inked on it. He's asleep right now and will be till I can make a second body for his soul to live in. But, first, what happened to this Itachi guy? Naruto sighed, pulling out a small chibi-looking doll, but it had no features and just a pale doll ghost of sorts. This guy known as Uchiha Madara used this strange jutsu and knocked Itachi's soul out, and now he is using Itachi's body like a puppet on autopilot. Sasuke sighed as Naruto frowned. Great, so I will have to make an exact body and deal with exorcising the fake soul in your brother which is controlling his real body. Naruto groaned. But, did you tell anyone of this? No, I wanted to know what exactly happened to my bro. Good, don't dare tell any living soul. Naruto said in a serious tone. I remember talking to some of the ghosts of Konoha and remember them talking about a powerful Uchiha by the name of Madara. He is a traitor of Konoha and fought the Shodai Hokage, which is actually quite a good guy to talk to and everyone believes is dead. He has this powerful version of the Sharingan called the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and is the leader of a criminal organization known as the Akatsuki. My information network of ghosts and phantoms haven't gotten what they are up to yet, but all I know it isn't good. If he made Itachi his puppet, then we will have cut the strings quietly, or else this could become worse than when you call a banga a lizard. Naruto groaned. She did, however, know the Akatsuki were after Jinchuriki like herself, which was why she wanted to get the ninja part of her training over quickly and escape to where her sensei lives. She was not mad being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as she knew her mother was the last container as well as another Uzumaki was the first, which actually made her proud of continued the strange female Uzumaki tradition. She also knew giving birth to a child weakens the seal, and she guessed her mother's seal failed at Naruto's birth and everything went to chaos, which was another reason Naruto felt it was alright for people to hate her. She was the cause of the Kyuubi attacking Konoha. Huh? Sasuke blinked behind his sunglasses. Oh, yeah? Basically, it could get very bad very fast. Oh, Sasuke sighed. He had a feeling that would be the case. Not even my mother and father? Not even them. If it gets dangerous for them, then you can tell them. Right now, my best bet is that Madara is just going to use him for gathering info for now, and he is going to secretly train him before striking whatever he is planning. Plus, we are going to need proof, as who is going to believe kids anyways on high-risk info? Naruto said as Sasuke paled, not realizing if he did try telling his parents what happened last night, they wouldn't believe him without proof. So, you got the picture? Huh? Oh, yeah. Here, Sasuke handed Naruto a recent picture of Itachi. But what is this body you are talking about? Sasuke asked before Naruto pulled out a wooden box out of her jack-o'-lantern bag and opened it to expose it was like the boxes he saw some of the older Uchiha who were retired and used for fishing, but Naruto had all sorts of sewing things in this box. Often, when a soul is forcibly removed from its body though the body is still alive, then the soul becomes unstable. It often becomes a monster people often call ghost or even a wraith. Sometimes even worse, thought other ways are the usual cause of such monsters. However, when the reason is what happened to Itachi, that monster will go after its body, wanting to reclaim it only it will destroy the body if the soul has been completely corrupted. Naruto sighed as Sasuke went wide-eyed with shock as Naruto's hands went as the blonde began sewing with a speed Sasuke didn't think was possible. Luckily, because it seems you gotten quite a unique ability and stupidly ate your brother's soul, you were able to keep him from turning at all, and I was able to contain his soul in a temporary container in sort of a soul coma till I can make a more fitting body. You can put souls within objects, but depending on the soul will most often reject being inside a foreign object like a suit of armor or such. However, witches know of a way of bonding a soul into an object without that happening. We use special spells to bond the souls. However, depending on how the soul left its body depends on how we do it and what we put the soul in. There, how is this? I just made a simple cloak for now as I need to make better clothes for it. Sasuke looked at the ghost-looking doll from before and was shocked to see it was now a chibi Itachi doll with a simple cloak on it, though his hair, which Sasuke didn't know how the blonde managed to give the doll hair, was not in a ponytail. Wow, it looks a lot like him. Sasuke flinched as something flew past his head and then saw the small glass box that his brother's soul was in Naruto's free hand. Time to get to business. Naruto chimed, smashing the glass in her hands for it to reform on the ground where it gently landed, but Itachi's soul was in Naruto's hand. Naruto laid the doll in front of her and put Itachi's soul floating above. Oh, lost soul, bound thyself to this new form, and make it thy home. A magic circle made from light appeared beneath the doll and the sparks lit from both the doll and soul before pulling the two objects together and the soul went into the doll and then there was a bright flash before the doll flopped onto its rear end, sitting up with its head down. Oh, where am I? The doll moved, waving as if dizzy, and its head looked up as its eyes were blinking at both of them. Sasuke never thought he would see a cloth doll moving or blinking on its own. Itachi Ni-chan, are you alright? Sasuke asked, kneeling down to the doll's eye level. Sasuke? The doll's eyes filled with relief when he saw Sasuke and he was alright. Before seeing the sunglasses, Nani? What happened to your eyes? Are you blind? Who did it? I'll murder them. Chill it. Sasuke sweated as Naruto had pinned Itachi down with her foot. Don't worry, my just are very sensitive right now as I activated my Sharingan. Sasuke sighed, trying to calm his brother in a doll down. Sharingan? What is that? Sasuke's eyes widened behind his sunglasses as Itachi looked at him with genuine confusion. Plus, who am I? I remember at least you are my brother, but almost everything else is a blank. Naruto. Sasuke glared at the blonde who picked Itachi up and held him close to her chest with an evil smirk on her lips. The soul and mind work as one in a person's body. While the soul is a person's true self very few people see. It doesn't contain memories, but controls the true feelings and choices of the mind. The mind serves as the outer self everyone sees and contains all the memories. However, the most precious and ones connected directly to the soul memories is what helps with the bond of the soul and mind, and when your brother's soul was pushed out of his body, only those that helped kept the bond to his body was yanked with him. This is why if he did turn into a ghost, he would have turned into the monster kind. He would be driven to insanity because he didn't know who or what he was except what he was to you in a sense. Naruto chimed. Madara probably didn't know what his jutsu really did. It made a new, fake soul in place of Itachi's soul and made it like a newborn, perfectly malleable and under his control. But, this does mean we possibly have an advantage. Nani? Sasuke asked, confused as to how they had the advantage over an old, powerful traitor of Konoha. This soul has no bond of self in Itachi's body. If you keep acting like his brother and trying to connect with him, then you will influence him like Madara as well. His memories of you are probably spare and fuzzy as Itachi here probably has a good amount of them from the way he acts, but we could possibly foil Madara's plans. Naruto shouted while pumping her fist in the air while grinning like a mad idiot. We are just 6 years and my brother's soul in a doll with hardly any memory. How the heck are we going to foil Madara's plans by ourselves? Sasuke sighed, not having much confidence. It was 2 possibly strong ninja against 2 academy students and a doll. The odds didn't look good. Naughty baka. Sasuke blinked as the blonde smacked his forehead with 2 of her fingers. I'm a witch in training under one of the greatest witches and a prodigy in the arts of magic. A doll, well, everything can be used as deadly weapons, can be just as dangerous as the best shinobi. And, now, you have unique abilities of your own that could prove very useful against Madara. Naruto had a mad smirk on her lips. Unique abilities? Sasuke asked before noticing the glass ball and it didn't have the witch shadow in it. Sensei is currently looking for scripts and such to help you. Kind of rare to find someone with the abilities of a morpher in a Hume. Naruto chimed. Morpher? Hume? Sasuke looked at Naruto in confusion as was Itachi. Hume is human. As for a morpher is a job class for battle where the person uses the souls of monsters to take on the abilities of monsters that have died or the person had a hunter capture for them. Yet, you were able to do that with a Hume soul, So I wonder if you could train to become a brand new job class. Job class? Sasuke asked before sweating as he saw how comfortable Itachi had gotten in Naruto's arm. The doll was content and had his eyes closed in a relaxing way, which crept Sasuke out. Yes, just as you wish to become a ninja, there is more than one job for battle. Here, the classes people, sort of, know, but don't really think about it as something they could change as ninja, samurai, soldier, a ninja version of a white mage with our healers. And then there are monks, though they have a very different style to the monks my teacher is used to. Naruto let out a sigh. I want to make a brand new job class for when I join my teacher where she is. Which is why I am taking advantage of the studies of ninja to help with making a new, powerful magic-using class. Magic-using class? Sasuke questionably corrected the blonde. No, magic. Magic is that sleight of hand tricks people here do. Naruto explained with a matter-of-fact tone. Many magic users like black mages, white mages, green mages, and so on spend so much time studying and increasing their mana and knowledge that they don't pay attention to their body and make them weak against physical attacks and are weak in physical attacks as well. The only exception is Viera, a female rabbit-like race, who have jobs that counter this problem, some like Sensei who is a red mage even though she calls herself a witch along with other job classes. Ninja are sort of within that equal amount. Though the magic they use where Sensei is from and here is extremely different and here it is much of powerful. I see, Sasuke sighed. Well, I'll take Itachi and leave them. Sasuke tried to take Itachi awake from Naruto, but the blonde moved backward onto the bed and out of Sasuke's reach. No, even though Itachi is now in a body, he will still want to attack and force out the foreign soul in his real body. At least, by being me, he will keep his control and not attack his body unless I tell him to. Also, there's something we need to discuss, naughty. Naruto sighed while picking up an old calculator. She prefers her abacus, but she had to find it later as she misplaced it. My name is Sasuke, not naughty. Sasuke growled while glaring at the blonde who was working on the calculator. So, what do you want to discuss about? This. Naruto showed Sasuke the calculator screen. Your bill. Nani? Sasuke shouted as he gasped. There were quite a few zeros on the calculator and not in the way Sasuke hoped. I'm just 6 years old. How do you think I am going to pay off that amount of money? That's highway robbery. No, it isn't. Naruto lowly chuckled as Sasuke recoiled as the scary, crazed look in her eyes as a sly smile crept on her lips. Nothing comes free in this world or any worlds in a matter of speaking, naughty. There is a price for everything, which is why hard work is the best money for it. However, what you asked of me was your assistance in a very deep and big problem, so yeah, the price will be high and there is no way you are going to be able to back out. But, I don't have any money. My allowance can't pay for this. Sasuke whined. His parents were going to kill him if he found all his allowance going to this blonde. Who said I wanted it in Ryu? Sasuke looked at the blonde in shock. Where I am going, Ryu is worthless. So, why not use the easiest form of currency? What do you mean? Sasuke shivered under the blonde mag grin. Simple, naughty, you're my slave till you pay off your debts to me. Naruto chimed while Itachi was wondering when he was going to be filled in on who he was. It was kind of annoying not knowing who he was, but Itachi did thought the strange face of pale shock and horror on Sasuke was funny. Witch doll darkness. Sasuke-kun? What happened to your eyes? Sasuke ignored the fangirls he managed to get as everyone in his class was wondering what happened to him as he was wearing sunglasses like Aburame Shino. After the doctor did his exam, he gave Sasuke a better pair of sunglasses so he could be able to see inside without his eyes hurting as even artificial light made his hypersensitive sight hurt. His sight had increased drastically to the point he could see several feet away with ease. However, the doctor also did another test where asked Sasuke what he saw in the hospital and if there was people, to point at their picture with a bunch of pictures that he showed the boy. And, the results were that Sasuke could see ghosts as clear as normal living people and even grab, touch, and probably even channel them, though Sasuke knew he could thanks to what he did with Itachi's soul. His parents and the doctor instantly knew this would be a problem, so they decided to say thanks to his premature Sharingan awakening. His eyes and brain weren't totally connect and Sasuke will see things not there thanks to chakra and such. Sasuke wasn't crazy, just would have problems with his sight for a while till he could get it under control. Iruka-sensei was quite shocked when he got the doctor's letter explaining the sunglasses, and Sasuke frowned when Iruka pitied him. "Hey, what are you trying to do, Uchiha?" Inuzuka Kiba chimed during lunch as everyone was outside and eating lunch. "Trying to copy Shino?" Sasuke noticed Shino glaring at Kiba, as he discovered quickly with his own sunglasses how to tell when someone was glaring with them on. "Kiba, leave Sasuke-kun alone." Sasuke wondered if Naruto wouldn't mind experimenting a spell personally for him on how to make a hate potion so that he could use his fangirls as the guinea pigs. He could have. "I prematurely awakened my Sharingan and it is causing my eyes to be very sensitive, so I have to wear sunglasses to protect them." Sasuke growled in annoyance as Kiba and the girls flinched from the anger coming off of Sasuke. "So, leave me alone. But, Sasuke-kun, don't you want us to eat with?" "Yo, naughty. Ack." Sasuke jumped and turned around to see Naruto coming out of the bushes while Kiba was laughing off his butt because Sasuke got scared by a blonde-haired guy. Sasuke noticed Naruto holding Itachi in her arms while a scroll was in her hand. "Hey, don't scare Sasuke-kun," Haruno Sakura shouted as Yamanaka Ino and other fangirls joined her in scolding the blonde. "Don't care and will never care." All the girls gaped before Naruto turned to Sasuke. "Here, naughty, you dropped this yesterday when you trespassed where I train." Sasuke caught the scroll Naruto threw at him, though he glared at the blonde for the nickname the blonde used instead of his name. "Sasuke isn't bad, so don't call him that," Ino shouted this time. "HMPH. You are noisy, isn't that right, Ida-kun?" Naruto asked Itachi, who Sasuke noticed had an annoyed look in his eyes. "Hi, very annoying." Sasuke instantly realized his brother made a big mistake. He spoke. Dolls weren't supposed to talk. "What?" Sakura and some girls recoiled at the fact the doll in Naruto's arm, which was wearing a strange outfit with a green cap with a lighter green bandana and mask on his face while he wore a tan and white striped shirt with long sleeves underneath, black knuckle-cut gloves that stopped before his wrist, brown shorts, and strange shoes with stocking-like socks. On the shirt was a belt that wrapped around where Itachi's hip would be if he was still in a human body, which held a sack on the back along with a small doll knife in a holster. "Creep," Ino growled. "Such a cheap trick like ventriloquism to make a doll talk." Sasuke blinked as the girls just glared at Naruto as Kiba looked like he was going to die a young death from laughter before realizing Naruto had purposely kept her mouth slightly open thanks to a smirk. Meaning to look like she was the one talking, though making Itachi look like his was talking through whatever trick the blonde fangirl called it. "How mean." Naruto pouted. "Aren't these girls mean, huh, Ida-kun?" "Hi, meaner than the devil himself." "That's it, get him." Naruto jumped away, standing on just her balls of her feet when she landed on a branch in a tree near Sasuke. "If you can catch me." Naruto chimed while hopping away with quickly and fueledly, like a rabbit as the fangirls gave chase, trying to beat the blonde and Sasuke's brother. "Aw, man, that was hilarious." Kiba chimed. "Who was that guy?" "Just a weird blonde." Sasuke sighed, having finished his lunch and walked away. He slightly opened the scroll to find it was translated scrolls on techniques morphers use and an explanation of the magic of morphers. "She probably just did it now to annoy me." Sasuke sighed, wondering what he left was now going to be like being a witch's slave. Hopefully, not a total wreck. 8-year-old Naruto stared at the book in front of her. The book was old as the leather was a strange shade of grayish black and had many sliver metal circles, squares, and triangles on it as if making a magic circle with an orange gem in the middle of the cover. The leather was pieces of mirror in a form of connecting to the metal loops and reflected quite well. There were also chains on the book's cover and back, as if trying to seal something. "Naruto, I got the ramen you wanted." 8-year-old Sasuke shouted as he entered Naruto's hut only to blink when the blonde didn't glomp him. Naruto really loved ramen and ate it almost all the time, which was one of Sasuke's job to go buy her some using her money. "Hey, Sasuke." Itachi waved at Sasuke, who finally noticed Naruto was on her pillows, staring at a book. "I think Naruto-kun is having a staring contest with a book." Sasuke sweated at his brother's poor sense of humor. Today, the blonde had Itachi wearing a strange of a sleeveless black turtleneck that covered the lower part of his face, metal chest armor with brown pants connected to it along with several belts wrapped around his hips, black skin tight shorts underneath the pants, strange light blue shoes and socks. On top of Itachi's head was a metal helm, metal arm guards, and he had a large sword on his back. Naruto, I got Ichiraku ramen like you asked. Sasuke sighed, holding the takeout bag in front of Naruto's face. I heard you the first time, naughty. Naruto sighed while taking the takeout bag from Sasuke. My name is Sasuke. How many times do I have to tell you that? Sasuke growled at the blonde. But, you're my slave, so I can call you whatever I want, naughty. Naruto sighed, slurping up her dinner. She got you there, Sasuke. Itachi sighed, sitting on the table near Naruto as Sasuke let out a sigh as his head dropped. But why were you staring at that book, Naruto-kun? Itachi asked Naruto, which he looked at the blonde with surprise as Sasuke paled when Naruto had finished her dinner and handed Sasuke the trash. Trying to think of clues. Naruto said, putting the book back into her bag. Clues? About what? Defeating Madara? Sasuke asked, his eyes lighting up behind his sunglasses. Even after 2 years he had activated his Sharingan, he still didn't have control over it. He couldn't copy other people's jutsu like a normal Sharingan user, so the clan saw him as a disgrace before Fugaku pointed out Sasuke's Sharingan could just be still dormant in some areas like copying jutsu. Though, that didn't help with easing the glares he got from the clan for having the Sharingan, and he was still in the academy as his brother graduated at age 7. Not that Sasuke cared, as he had Uchiha Madara to worry about, and he couldn't tell if befriending the fake Itachi using Itachi's body was working, even though the fake Itachi acted more brotherly now even though he is distant. No, my powers. Naruto sighed. Your powers? Both brothers cocked their heads. Naruto did a lot of training and had so many skills from other jobs learned that it was kind of hard to understand what powers she was talking about. Though, Sasuke sweated when he realized Naruto probably didn't know about the Kyuubi being sealed inside her, though it could be possible that the Hokage did kill the Kyuubi and Naruto was just unlucky to be born on that day and is thought to be the Kyuubi reborn. Sasuke, however, decided not to push the subject as it was Naruto's privacy. Nothing. Naruto got up. I'm gonna go shopping. Naruto got her shoulder bag on as Sasuke blinked. Sasuke, you best train some. From what the phantoms and ghosts have been telling me, Madara might be making his move soon. Sasuke nodded. Understanding when Naruto goes shopping, she is usually gathering information from the spirits. However, Sasuke still didn't get how his abilities work exactly, even with studying Morpher's arts, and even looked up books on ghosts to help. But so far no luck except reading about shamans, and he was still researching what shamans did and their arts possibly. Okay, Sasuke sighed as he watched Naruto pick Itachi up. He swore his brother loved being with Naruto, but then again, he did like the outfits Naruto put them in, and they discovered Naruto didn't gender the doll which Itachi's soul was in. He could gender bend, as Itachi's voice would change more feminine in feminine outfits like the Green Mage or somehow one of his favorite summoner. Naruto named each of Itachi's outfits after the job class they looked like they were from. From Sasuke remembered, the current outfit was fighter. Don't do anything stupid while we are gone, like casting any dangerous spells. Itachi chimed, not caring for the glare coming off Sasuke. I learned that the hard way. Sasuke sighed, remembering reading about alchemist magics, and tried out the spell, Toad, and messed up and found himself turned to Toad. Luckily, Naruto saw what happened and used a potion called Maiden's Kiss to turn him back to normal. Though, Sasuke mastered the Alchemist and Arcanist job spells, though he also had some Time Mage, White Mage, Black Mage, and Illusionist magics as well, though now he was trying out what ninjas saw as jutsu from Naruto's sensei's place, and even though they didn't do much damage, they were useful for distracting or disabling targets. Though, he was planning to do the Paravir job class skills soon, as he seems them as better than ninja skills, and he liked using katana a lot, so he could use the techniques all the time as he didn't stick to job class weaponry suggestions, and also thinking of making his own job class which he would use as possibly a title if he ever gets into the bingo book, as people were going to be shocked when he showed his true hard work off. He didn't show off his skills as he didn't want anyone asking him how he learned them. See ya, naughty. My name is Sasuke. Sasuke shouted as the blonde hopped off. Damn rabbit witch. Sasuke scoffed before getting hit in the head by a book from behind. Little boy, I advise you not to use rabbit and witch together in the same sentence if you wish to not be burnt to a crisp. Sasuke nodded fearfully, not needing to look at the witch in the crystal ball as he forgotten she wasn't human, but a strange humanoid rabbit race that did not like to be called rabbits. Now go train. Sasuke ran, not wanting to be at the end of the witch's wrath. So, what are you looking for, Naruto-kun? Itachi asked as both ignored the glares of the villagers. Many villagers began to believe Naruto was talking to the fox through the doll, before realizing aka. Believing the blonde formed a split personality and guessed the blonde was finally going insane. Just browsing. I need to clear my head. Naruto sighed. She really was wondering about her grimoire. She didn't know what the magical journal's name was or what powers it has, though she could easily go between her sensei's world and her own with ease using mirrors as a portal, as a shortcut, or chanting a spell. She could also knew automatic several dark, forbidden magics that she finds useful, but also scares here, as she also knew special grimoire like she, the one in her procession, always held powerful secrets. Cheer up, Naruto-kun. Naruto blinked out of her thought and looked at Itachi, who I smiled at her. If you keep frowning, you'll get ugly wrinkles. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. Naruto chuckled before feeling a yank. Huh? Naruto looked down, expecting to see a kid yanking on her bag, as she felt the yank come from there thanks to the strap of her bag, but blinked to see nowhere there. Ack! Naruto hopped backwards, trying to keep her balance as her bag dragged her into an antique shop. There just Gar. The old man in the shop and his assistant blinked when Naruto came literally rolling in the shop. Are you alright? Yeah? Naruto squeaked with Itachi, both a bit dizzy from the roll. Naruto got up and dusted Itachi and her clothes off before looking at her surroundings. Huh? I haven't been in this antique shop. Naruto found most of the antique shops had people who came to Konoha after the Kyuubi attack, and the shop owners were kind to her and found many magic supplies and such from them. Oh, yes, we just opened. The assistant sighed as the old shop manager sighed. Please look around. Yeah, I'll help you once I get rid of some stupid keys. The old man said as Naruto sensed something of magical power coming off somewhere near the two men. Keys? Could I see them? Naruto asked, walking up to the desk. Sure, they're just junk anyways. The old man sighed as his assistant put a box on the counter, and Naruto's eyes widened as she saw 4 keys. One was a dark key with bat wings on the top and a glowing-looking purple crystal on it. Another was white with red markings with 2 feathers on the top to look like rabbit ears. Another was dark yellow with thunderbolts on the end. And the last one had ice-like crystals and a full moon on the end. Both men sweated as the blonde was drooling at the keys. Such works of arts. I can sense the magic put in the metal. They are like they are made directly from magic. Naruto chimed, rubbing her cheek against one of the keys. How much will you take for all 4? Kid, what have you been smoking? The old man sighed. Well, since I was going to throw them away, how about 200 ryu for it all? Both men flinched when Naruto slammed the money down on the counter and took the keys before running out of the shop. What a very weird kid. The old man sighed as his assistant nodded. Naruto, what's got you so hyped up? Itachi asked as Naruto got into the woods. These keys are full of the energies of the other worlds. Naruto smirked, picking out the dark key. Other worlds? Itachi asked as Naruto held the key out. If I remember reading about magical keys work. Naruto chimed with an evil smirk. A spell like this should do. I call forth thou from the other world, thou pass through the gate of thy key. Open the gate. Naruto shouted as the key shot out a purple light that hit the ground for a evil-looking gate to appear in a large dark suit of armor with blue line patterns all over and was flaming with purple flames, which also came off his black and red sword and large metal hammer. WHO dares summon the Dark Lord Craydall. Itachi was so glad he currently didn't have a bladder, as he would have wet himself from the deep, booming-like voice that came from the large demon. I am. Itachi shivered. The demon looked down to see Naruto. And chill with the volume. I don't need people coming around and start attacking you, as they already have demon phobia after a giant 9-tailed kitsune attacked this village. Oh, sorry, did not realize I was that loud. The demon scratched the back of its metal helmet. Wait, what am I doing? Why have you summoned me, mere mortal? Wanna form a pact? Naruto chimed. What? You know, I can summon you if you give me a pact. You help me out in exchange for some mana. The ropes. Naruto sighed while shrugging. Wait a second, how did you summon me? The Dark Lord growled. He wasn't able to be summoned. At least he thought he wasn't supposed to be. With this key, Naruto held up the dark-looking key. It seems some of the books I read that talking about magical keys that could open the doors of the otherworlds was true. Naruto chimed. You are not afraid of me, mortal? The Dark Lord asked as Naruto nodded. Ha 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 ha. Usually mortals would cower in fear. Then, I shall form a pact with. However, I will test you before you can summon me all the time. A battle? Naruto asked, hopping as she was ready to fight. As much as I would love to, no. Naruto blinked as the demon gathered mana before him before it shot to Naruto's middle left finger to form a black ring with a purple crystal with bat wings on it. Nani? What's this? Naruto studied the ring. If it had an orange gem or a pumpkin, she would like it better, but at least it was batty, so she was okay with it. That is your pact with all my minions. You can summon monsters. The more you summon and better you get with it as well as become better attuned to monsters, then I will decide it if you can summon me all the time. Now, don't summon me for the next week at least for even an emergency. I have a meeting with the stronger demons. But, what's your name? The name's Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto did a double thumbs up and had a witch grin on her face. Hey, I like you kid. Well, farewell till the next time we meet. The monster disappeared. Okay, that was both scary and awkward. Itachi sighed, able to relax that the demon was gone. He would have been a perfect little snack for him as he was just a soul in a doll. Thanks you for a doll not having a heart or else he had a heart attack. Okay, next key. Itachi paled as the blonde chanted the same spell with the white key. Pun. Itachi and Naruto stared at the small white rabbit wearing a cloak like a white mage, two feathers that were white with red trimming for years and held in place with a white pom-pom like the large pom-pom tail it had. In its hand was a wand with a carrot-like top on it. Kawaii. Naruto cooed as she hugged the bunny summon who at first was afraid before purring as Naruto petted its head. I'll call you White Hair. Would you like a pact with me? Pun. The bunny nodded. Yata. So cute. Just like a dream hare. Naruto cooed as the bunny liked the attention. Hey, what am I? Chopped stuffing? Itachi growled, getting up as Naruto had dropped him. White Hair and he glared at each other. Oh, no. You are not taking my Naruto-kun. Itachi glared at the rabbit as it hugged Naruto. Just you wait. I will have a rabbit fur coat when I am done with you. Which clan ghosts? Sasuke? Sasuke blinked as he heard a familiar voice. Shot. Hey, Shisui. Sasuke chimed, looking towards the bushes where the voice came from. I was just training, but where have you been? Sasuke, however, paled when the curly hair Uchiha came out of the bushes. But went through them as he had no body. Wait, you can hear and see me? Shisui asked as Sasuke instantly went into a panic. Who killed you? Sasuke shouted, dreading he knew who. Shisui disappeared 4 days ago and haven't been seen since, and even the military police had questioned fake Itachi, and Sasuke noticed his hatred for the Uchiha clan clearly. Itachi. Shisui looked down. He thought he knew Itachi, but he guessed his friend wasn't really his friend. Crap, he's making his move. Sasuke groaned as the Mirage Ninja, now literally a mirage of sorts, sweated at his cousin rubbing his hair. I got to get Naruto and Itachi. Did you just hear me? Itachi just killed me. Shisui shouted at Sasuke. Was the 8-year-old having brother killing his best friend denial? That's just Itachi's body being used as a puppet. Shisui flinched as Sasuke shouted at him. The guy who had been controlling it must be preparing to make his move soon. I have to get Naruto, who had Itachi's real soul in a doll, to keep him alive. Wait, you mean that Itachi's body killed me, but not my best friend? Shisui was confused. Yeah, his body still has most of his memory, and with a fake soul in there, it works like an automatic puppet. Sasuke groaned as Shisui nodded, now understanding better. But, speaking of souls, I swear, Shisui, you made Itachi a perv. Sasuke hissed as he headed towards where he sensed a lot of magic being used, which he guessed Naruto was letting off some steam possibly. Wait, how did I do that when he is? Soul is real self while mind is outer. He can't help but show his true colors. Which I swear he has a fetish for girls who can kick butt and is a witch as he sticks to Naruto like she is a goddess. I bet he is so waiting for Naruto to hit puberty. Sasuke groaned. Sure, Itachi at least stuck to one girl. But Sasuke was thankful Itachi had no blood from, as Naruto did not understand the words modesty and male and female bathrooms. The latter including the fact women and males bath in privacy. Wait, the Uzumaki is a girl witch? Shisui asked with a raised dead eyebrow. Yeah, and she has a hefty bill for anyone who comes for her help and I am still paying her off. Sasuke groaned as Shisui sweated at wondering what the 8-year-old mean. He kind of sounded like a guy getting hounded by a lone shark. Naruto and I been training in secret as we know who wants all of the Uchiha clan dead. Why the heck didn't you guys share this information to Konoha? Shisui shouted in anger. Hello? Who would believe 2 kids through ages 6 to 8? Sasuke growled as Shisui backed off as he realized no one would have probably believed Sasuke even if he showed proof. Sasuke noticed it was starting to get dark and meaning they needed to hurry and get to the Uchiha compound. He then saw a familiar mob of blonde hair. Naruto. Huh? What's up, naughty? Naruto asked as an annoyed Itachi was in her arms. He's making his move. We got to hurry to the Uchiha compound. Sasuke shouted before realizing he was still moving and missed the branch before him. Wham! Ow! I thought you could only do that when you mess up with the Shunshin no Jutsu. Shisui flinched as Sasuke got off the ground where his face met the ground. Ow, indeed. Naughty, I thought I was the klutz. Naruto sighed as Sasuke glared at her. Didn't you hear me? Uchiha compound, now. Sasuke shouted as Shisui realized Sasuke had inherited his mother's lung in the way he didn't know and wished the boy didn't get. Alright. Naruto sighed while pulling out a broom with much worn sweeping end and jack-o'-lantern charms and magic stone charms hanging off it. There was a small knife-like blade coming off through the straw. Nani? How? Shisui blinked as Naruto sat on the broom for it to float. You're really a witch. Shisui wondered what else Sasuke has been keeping a secret from the Uchiha clan as Sasuke paled. No thanks. Last time I got on that thing, I act. Naruto pulled Sasuke onto the broom by his collar. Then, hold on tightly. Naruto growled as Sasuke quickly did, yada. Naruto shot into the air and began flying off the Uchiha compound with the advantage of the sun had set. Hey, you, oh, yeah, Shisui flew after them. I forgot I was dead and can fly on my own. Shisui noticed something strange as they were nearing the Uchiha compound as if there were an invisible bubble over the compound which had a slight shine in the moonlight. He started already. Naruto growled, focusing mana in her hand. Dimensional slash. Naruto threw a blade of black and purple mana at the barrier, making it spark before the attack ripped a hole for Naruto and Sasuke to get through but closed before Shisui could get in. Hey, wait up for me, Ak. Both living humans plus soul in a doll sweated as the ghost slid down the barrier. Clearly a noob ghost. Naruto sighed as Sasuke looked down. Shot. Naruto blinked as Sasuke hopped down off of Naruto's broom as Naruto noticed the corpses on the ground and souls floating above their just slain bodies. Mom. Dad. Sasuke shouted, running for the main household. Naughty baka. Naruto sighed taking off the bandages she kept on her right hand. Time for you to help me out. A battle is about to engage. Naruto kissed the seal for it to glow. Mom. Dad. Sasuke ran straight into his house. Itachi. What are you doing? Sasuke ran for his mother's voice, chanting a spell under his breath. He opened the door to one of the rooms to find his brother in his Anbu armor shocked to see him as his mother and father turned to see him. Sasuke. Stay back. Makoto shouted. Gravaga. Sasuke shouted for the fake Itachi to look down in time to see a strange purple girl magic circle. HN. Itachi flinched as the gravity within the circle increased by tenfolds and it took a lot of his chakra just to keep standing. Come on, that's not going to hold him from long. Sasuke grabbed his parents and they ran out of the house to meet up with the few still alive Uchiha. Sasuke, how did you do that? Fugaku shouted, wondering what his son had done. Fugaku, we're stuck. One of the Uchiha ninja grunted, holding a cut-off arm. There's some kind of barrier around the compound. What the heck? Is Itachi? Itachi's being control. All the Uchiha looked at Sasuke. How do you know? Another Uchiha asked before Itachi came out of the house. Shot, watch out. Yahoo! All the Uchiha saw a flash and watched as a strangely armored dark-haired 13-year-old who reminded Sasuke of Itachi in doll form attacked fake Itachi from above with grieve arms and fists and jumped back. Air render. The attacker spun and launched a wave attack of energy at Itachi who dodged the attack. Hey, I'm going to get you faker out of my body even if I have to beat my body to a pulp. Sasuke's eyes widened as he realized the attacker was the real Itachi. Shot. Watch out behind you all. Ah. Sasuke turned around to find his parents and the other Uchiha members slain while Uchiha Madara standing in front of him with the corpses around him. Now, this is a surprise. Sasuke's eyes looked at horror at the corpses of his parents and family on the ground to see the souls floating above the bodies, though his parents already managed to become ghosts thanks to emotional stress and confusion. How did you get through the barrier? Well, it seems I can't keep Itachi's promise to spare you. Madara chimed. Pumpkin slash. Madara jumped to dodge an energy slash of orange energy as Naruto landed on the ground with a large orange scythe in her hands with a jet black blade and jack-o'-lantern on the corner where the blade and wood met. You're really an annoying old man. Killing your own kin is a horrible thing to do. You know I am an Uchiha? Madara asked, interested in the blonde Jinchuriki. The dead love to talk. Especially your old friend, the Shodai Hokage. Though, sometimes I wish he would stop talking about his wife Mito even if she and I share similar status and surname. Naruto smirked while spinning the large scythe as if it was a light pole. But, you really should know what your jutsu do to people. Like the fact the jutsu you used 2 years ago on Itachi pushed out his soul and replaced with an artificial soul that is like a newborn babe. If Sasuke hadn't seen what you did and discovered his interesting abilities similar to the magic-tuned Numo, his brother's soul would have killed his body as it would have turned into a monster. Air render. Air render. Naruto and Madara sweated as the real Itachi kept launching energy slashes at fake Itachi. Will you use another attack? Naruto shouted in annoyance at the real Itachi who blocked Itachi's sword. Sorry. Air render trigger happy. Itachi chimed before using a rushing attack to knock his real body back. How can he do that? Sasuke asked, making the moment even more awkward. Duh, I don't dress him in styles similar to job classes for nothing. By dressing him up in doll form in a job class, he will take on that job class when he goes human form with all the skills already in his head and mastered. Naruto growled as Madara cocked his head. Objects with souls in them, especially dolls, have the ability to take on the form of the soul's original form. However, witches can only do that to dolls, and even then the souls in those dolls from other beings are handmade from the doll being made from a skilled craftsman or woman like myself can only maintain that form for a bit. Since Itachi hasn't done it in a while, he has energy to spare at the moment. Madara dodged Naruto as she charged and slashed at him. I see. So, the real Itachi is in a doll while the Itachi I thought I had a mind-controlled jutsu on was really a fake Itachi? Madara chuckled. So, I guess you guys have been training all this time to fight against me, huh? Exactly. Naruto chimed as both Itachi's, Madara, and Sasuke blinked as they heard a whistle sound, and then Sasuke saw the same demon Naruto summoned 2 years ago appeared riding on a black large chicken bird atop the main compound building. What the heck? Madara looked at the demon with confusion. Judge isn't going to do anything to you. Madara looked back at Naruto while showing the tattoo on her hand. However, as long as the real Itachi, Sasuke, and I keep up the law of no going into water, which there is none around, we won't die. What? Madara looked at the blonde with shock. You're making that up. Nope. Judges are magic constructs that were originally made to uphold laws which made it so people could peacefully in a sorts fight without the worries of dying as well as kept wars from happening. But now, here, no one knows about them. Now, time to fight. Naruto charged dark mana into the blade of her scythe as she charged Madara again. Dimension slash. Too slow. Madara chuckled, dodging the strange energy slash only for his eyes to widen when the slash stayed in the air till Naruto went through it. Moron. Naruto chimed as she appeared from another slash above him. I can easily rip a hole in dimensions barriers and travel through them. Madara cursed, getting nipped by Naruto's blade as he teleported back. Doublecast. Faraga. Blizzaga. Madara teleported to dodge the large fireball the blonde launched at him as well as teleported again just to dodge large pillars of ice coming out of the ground. Flare. Madara jumped out of the way of a blinding, flash attack spell from Sasuke who then ducked behind a barrel near the house he was standing nearby to dodge the kunai barrage from the older Uchiha. Interesting jutsu. Even with how old I am, I never seen such. Madara chimed, dodging Naruto's slashes from her side. But, I must say, for 8-year-olds, you both trained quite well. Madara kicked Naruto in the gut, but the blonde only skidded back a few feet as she slammed the blade of her scythe in the ground to keep her from flying back. Ack! Naruto spat blood on the ground while pulling the blade out of the ground. What we are using isn't jutsu. Naruto chimed with a big grin on her face, pink from the blood in her mouth. Magic is a lot different from jutsus. You're talking to the apprentice of one of the greatest witches known as the Witch of the Fens. Though, you wouldn't know her. Naruto reached into one of her pockets. Well, I don't care. Madara looked at Sasuke who was running to help his real brother out in fighting the fake soul controlling his real body. You two are getting in my way. Goryuka no Jutsu. Madara unleashed a dragon made of flames at Sasuke. Shot. Sasuke cursed, barely dodging the attack with getting the side of his shoulder hit. Hot, hot. Sasuke frantically patted his burning shirt, losing his sunglasses in the process, before glaring at Madara in anger. Goryuka no Jutsu. Sasuke unconsciously used the jutsu without using hand seals, shocking Madara who dodged by teleporting. Wow, now that's something. Naruto and Sasuke sweated as Madara teleported onto the building above them. You're just as much as a prodigy as your brother, sniff? Hey, does anyone else smell smoke? Madara then realized his sleeve was on fire. Ack, hot, hot, okay, maybe he really is your relative. Naruto sighed, pulling out her yellow key as the main enemy was distracted. Open the gate to the thundering heavens. Come forth, Raiden, Naruto shouted, pointing the key into the sky for it to fire off a bolt of lightning into the sky for a thundercloud to form in the barrier and form a gate door with lightning bolts all over it. Huh? What's TZZZAT? Madara got zapped as the gate opened, unleashing lightning before one bolt hit the ground near Naruto to expose a teenage with jagged, pointing up hair as if lightning had hit it in the same color as lightning and wearing a black short robe with a yellow top cover that trailed in the back, and tan pants as he had a wooden staff in his hand and curled toe shoes on his feet. Yeah, I'm ready to fight, Naruto-heim. The boy shouted only to sweat to see a fried Madara who coughed up smoke which went out the sides of his mask. Wow, who knew a dramatic entrance can also be used as an attack? Naruto sighed as boy summoned from lightning just stood next to Naruto, a frown on his face. Is he out? As if I remember correctly, people usually don't survive lightning strikes. Sasuke asked before Naruto and he sweated as they could feel the killer intent coming off of Madara. No, I think no, he's going to go full power on us than toying with us. Naruto sighed as Madara began making hand seals. Housenka no Jutsu. Sasuke bolted to the side to dodge the fireballs with shuriken hidden inside them while the boy with crazy hair got in front of Naruto and formed a barrier of lightning before the blonde to block the attack. What the heck? I will not allow you to hurt, Naruto-heim. She is the first person to make a pact with all the lightning espers. The boy shouted in anger. I am Raidon, apprentice of the mighty lightning esper Rama. Esper? Madara raised an eyebrow as his Sharingan was showing him the boy before Naruto was made completely of chakra. You're very interesting, Naruto. It makes me glad I didn't kill you when you were a baby. What did you just say? Naruto's eyes widened in shock. I was the one who made Kyuubi attack Konoha. Madara was shocked when Naruto somehow mimicked his ability to teleport and teleported in front of him and he jumped back from the slash that easily sliced through the stone the building's tiles was made from. Why you? All this time I thought I was the cause of the Kyuubi attack. Sasuke and both Itachis looked at Naruto with shock as tears went down her cheeks. But, you're saying you were the one who broke the seal of the Kyuubi on my mother? Naruto screamed in fury, attacking Madara with quick, powerful slashes which Madara dodged. Yes, I even threatened to kill you if your father didn't move away from your mother, too bad he was too quick and got you away from me. Though I still managed to get the Kyuubi to become reborn through your mother's body. But, it's ironic that you are the Jinchuriki just like your mother. Naruto's mother had the Kyuubi sealed inside her before Naruto? Sasuke thought in shock as the real Itachi kept the fake on his toes with quick punches and kicks. That's why Kushina was going out of the village to give birth. Sasuke looked at his parents to see his mother crying. I hear her talking about seals becoming weak when giving birth, which confused me as I had no idea what she was talking about. But I didn't know she was a Jinchuriki and she was talking about herself. I knew it was weird for her to be pregnant for 10 months instead of 9. I should have noticed. Makoto wept as Sasuke realized his mother knew Naruto's mother yet didn't realize Naruto's mother bared a deep, dark curse. Die, die, die. Naruto shrieked in anger, tears going down her face, though Madara dodged the enrage-fueled assault with ease. Sasuke noticed something weird about Madara when he reached back on the ground with Naruto still after him. Oh, well, I need to get rid of that dangerous weapon of yours. Madara unleashed black flames at Naruto for Naruto to get knocked out of the way by Sasuke. Ack! Sasuke quickly ripped his shirt off to get the black flames off his body as he saw his shirt burnt away, but the flames stayed. I won't let you hurt, Naruto. Sasuke shouted in anger when Madara again was surprised when black flames formed a shield before Sasuke as he protected Naruto and the flames formed spikes when Madara barely managed to jump back and miss. Your eyes? How could you be using the Amaterasu without the Mangekyo Sharingan? Madara asked, now very interested in the boy before him as Raiden picked up the black flames and ate them as the mana from it was good enough to serve as a good boost to keep him on the battlefield longer. Mangekyo Sharingan? Sasuke asked as fake Itachi got next to Madara, panting and had quite a few bruises. What, you're tired? The real Itachi taunted. Come on, I haven't even warmed up. Itachi, if you don't shut up with being an arrogant fool, you won't be bathing with me for the next month. Both Madara and fake Itachi sweated as Itachi paled and did shut up when Naruto evilly chuckled. Let me guess, Itachi had to kill his best friend for this form of the Sharingan to use those black flames. Yet Nadi here was able to use them without such eyes? I get it now. The Sharingan copies Jutsu, but because Nadi's mana or I should say chakra is similar to a new Mo, it changed his Sharingan so it works like a blue mage's learning ability. Naruto laughed as all Uchiha, old, young, and dead looked at the blonde they thought went crazy. As well as the fact both the fake Itachi and Madara was wondering why the blonde was calling Sasuke, Nadi. What are you talking about? Fake Itachi asked, glaring at the blonde. Simple, blue mages also copy enemy attacks, but usually copy attacks from monsters. Yet, Nadi can do it with human attacks. All he has to do is get hit by the attack and he instantly learns it and can use it like a magic spell. Sasuke, as well as his parents and real brother looked at Naruto with shock. That's why his Sharingan doesn't work the same way as the other Sharingan users. He copies from doing, not seeing. You're saying I have to get hurt to use my Sharingan? Sasuke paled at that thought, making a mental note to make sure to get pain relievers and keep a lot of them nearby. Yep, but, time for you to die, Madara. Naruto rushed past Sasuke while pulling out her grimoire. Dimensional Wrath. Shot. Fake Itachi cursed Madara grabbed him and teleported to dodge the blast of dark energy that came out of the ground thanks to a complex magic circle and when he teleported back to reality Naruto was charging him. Madara unleashed another Amaterasu at Naruto who tried to stop when her grimoire shot out of her arms and formed as shield against the flames which got absorbed into the book. Snap. Oh, no. Naruto paled in horror as the chains on the grimoire broke. Madara, sensing something powerful coming off the book, grabbed Itachi's real body with fake inside and teleported their tail out of there, dropping the barrier. Hey, bring back my body. Itachi shouted in anger. Itachi. Sasuke, get out of here. Naruto grunted, covering her face from the bright light the book was unleashing. Naruto. Sasuke shouted when Naruto screamed and some of the chains somehow grabbed her shadow as something made of white light was trying to come out of the book's cover. Sasuke ran towards Naruto as they noticed some kind of crystal being tried to escape, but then more chains came out of the book and pulled it back for the white light to escape the book, pulling some chains with it while the book re-sealed its cover with chains and Naruto grabbed it. Panting as the light disappeared for a dark blonde hair male Naruto without whisker marks and wearing white robes that an angel would wear to appear before the group with a crystal circular sword on his back. Who the heck are you? Naruto shouted, panting harshly as she felt weak. She looked down for her eyes to widen. What happened to my shadow? Naruto shouted in horror as Sasuke got up to her and saw that in the moonlight, Naruto casted no shadow on the ground. Well, it seems even when the seal was weakened by that strange mana, it was strong enough to keep my real form sealed by forcing me bound myself in this form. The angelic Naruto sighed. Owner of the grimoire of the outer worlds, what is thy name? I'm Uzumaki Naruto and I guess you're the secret locked away within this grimoire. Naruto gasped, finding it hard to breathe. Shot. Without my shadow, my body is in confusion. What did you do to Naruto? Sasuke shouted in anger at the clone Naruto, noticing the white Naruto had crystal-like blue eyes. I had to take her shadow and evil part of her in order to form a negative form of her to make a body I could us. You can call me Oturin Ikamazu as it is not fit to talk me by my real name as I am not in my true form and this is a mixture of Naruto and me. Oturin Ikamazu sighed before noticing his body slightly fading as Naruto held her hand against her chest and coughed up blood. Naruto! Sasuke shouted in panic as Ikamazu sighed. It seems by taking your shadow, your body is dying. Give Naruto-kun her shadow back. Raiden and Itachi shouted in unison. No, no, I can't do my duty if I do that. Ikamazu smirked while pointing at Naruto. But, if Naruto dies, then there is no purpose. Yet, luckily, I know a loophole. Naruto screamed in pain when white energy shot from Ikamazu's finger went into her body and it felt like it was burning from the inside out. It hurts. Naruto hissed, tears of blood going down her face as her body began to morph and her hair began to lighten to the point of being white. A pair of tan rabbit-like ears shot out of the top of her head as her normal human ears disappear as her legs and arms lengthen as her body got longer and slender as her feet grew out enough to break her sandals. Naruto, what did you do to her? Sasuke shouted as the Naruto look-alike, in a sense, made it so she could live without her shadow while also granting her some of her wish of being like her sensei. Ikamazu chimed, but I'm in a giving mood as I am free of my prison. Sasuke. Itachi ran towards Sasuke as Ikamazu pointed at Sasuke. Huh? In a puff of smoke, Itachi fell to the ground in doll form. Why the heck did I have to run out of steam now? You fool! Die for harming, Naruto-heim. Raiden shouted, firing lightning at Ikamazu, but the dark blonde knocked the lightning away and made it hit one of the buildings which caught on fire. You're in the way. Ikamazu launched a ball of light at Raiden which hit the boy in the gut before he could dodge and knocked him out before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Now, I'll give you some power as I need Naruto alive for me to do my duty. Sasuke flinched and screamed in pain as he was hit by a similar white energy as Itachi managed to walk over to Naruto and him before passing out thanks to being out of energy. Stop! Several Anbu came onto the scene and saw the transformation Sasuke was going through. You're under arrest. I'm sorry, but I am not. Ikamazu sprouted several pairs of angelic wings out of his back before shooting into the sky in the form of a bright light white before shooting off away from Konoha with inhuman speed. Ah! Sasuke panted, dropping to the ground when the transformation was finished. Hey, hold on, kid, one of the Anbu shouted as Sasuke could see one picking Naruto up with Itachi somehow being held in her hand as she probably managed to grab him before fully getting knocked out. Just as he was picked up, Sasuke blacked out and the pain went away from his body. Which clan ghosts? I heard an angel killed the Uchiha clan. Sasuke blinked, instantly shutting his eyes as his hypersensitive eyes instantly brought him a headache from the light and he reached sleepily for the side of the bed for a dresser and found his sunglasses on a small table and put them on as he sat up. He was instantly looked around in confusion when he realized he was not in his bed and not in his bedroom. No way. Why would an angel kill the Uchiha clan? Sasuke blinked as he found his hearing was a lot better and he scratched his ear. Only to pale when he felt his ears way too droopy to be normal. Sasuke got out of the white bed he was in, pushing the curtains away to see he was in a hospital room with another curtained-off bed in the room. He ran into the bathroom connected to the room and got up on the counter of the sink and looked at himself in the mirror. Sasuke looked at his appearance in shock. His eyes became more content looking from behind his sunglasses, but that was the only somewhat normal change. His hair grew out some, but went down his back in a mane which went all the way down to a skin tail that came out of his back and had the same black hair on it as his head. Sasuke also noticed his ears were no longer human and were long and droopy much like a canine with a small hole near the end of the ear as if they had been pierced. What have I become? Sasuke asked himself. He wasn't afraid of himself. He didn't look like a monster that killed people. In fact, he kind of looked like a canine that was content and peaceful instead of something hideous and dangerous. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard barely audible footsteps and turned around to shock an Anbu wearing a dog Anbu mask. I see you are awake. Sasuke glared at the Anbu while the Hokage came up. It seems I am in time to visit Naruto and you. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, looking at Sasuke with pity. He didn't know what happened to Naruto or Sasuke, but now the village would possibly. Where's Naruto? The Sandaime Hokage snapped out of his thought when Sasuke screamed. The poor kid is in the other bed. The dog-masked Anbu sighed as both watched Sasuke went to the other bed and yanked the curtain back for him to stare at Naruto. Naruto's skin had darker to the point of being a dark tan, but not enough for the blonde to be brown like some people. Sasuke remembered seeing ninja from Kumo sometimes looking while her hair was white with a few strands of blonde scattered about, as well as her hair was longer even though still a spiky mess. Sasuke noticed Naruto's whisker-like scars had become white and thicker while markings in white spread along her body in swirls and curves. Atop Naruto's head was a pair of rabbit ears with fur that matched her skin color of cream mixed tan, but the tips were black. He noticed Naruto's fingers had fingernails the same black color as well as her toes, which curved downward and were black, much like claws on an animal, which matched her now longer feet. Naruto turned over and Sasuke sweated as the blonde cuddled with Itachi in doll form, as he could tell Itachi was awake and enjoying it. Pervy brother, Sasuke thought while glaring at his brother before a cough got his attention and he looked at the Hokage and Anbu. Sasuke, could you tell me what happened? Hiruzen sighed, kind of not wanting the boy to experience the pain of seeing his family murdered. Is this room soundproof? Sasuke asked, shocking both men. But Hiruzen quickly performed a silencing jutsu on the room before Sasuke continued when he knew no one could hear him but the Hokage and Anbu before him. Uchiha Madara killed the Uchiha clan. What? But he died. The Anbu shouted, but the Hokage frowned. Wait, was he wearing a mask? Hi. Sasuke sighed. He used a jutsu 2 years ago on my brother to control him, but he didn't sense or realized I saw him do it. It was actually, I think, how I activated my Sharingan, as the jutsu he used on Itachi slightly blinded me for a few seconds thanks to the light it let off, and it knocked Itachi's soul out of his body and replaced it with a young fake soul. You knew all of that, but didn't tell anyone? Kakashi. Hiruzen glared at the dog-masked Anbu, who flinched. I did. I told Naruto, but we both knew no one would believe us if we told anyone. So, instead, we trained really hard the past 2 years to try and stop Madara from whatever he was planning, but, we failed. Sasuke began to cry. He failed everyone. He made a promise with himself he would save the Uchiha clan, but he failed. Oi. Both Hiruzen and Kakashi the Anbu jumped when Itachi managed to escape Naruto's grip and walk over to Sasuke. At least we tried to save the clan. Though, I am gonna kill that old man for unleashing that thing that hurt Naruto-kun and you, Oto. Both ninja in the room sweated under the fact the doll managed to look like it was cursed and possessed by evil powers. Ni-chan? Sasuke sniffled as now both the Hokage and Anbu looked at the doll wide-eyed. Thought the Anbu had his mask on to hide it. Wait, Itachi? The Hokage pointed at Itachi. Yeah? Who are you? The Hokage glared at the doll as the Anbu chuckled. Most of his memories are in his real body, as his mind stayed there so Madara could use him like a puppet without people noticing. Sasuke sighed as the Hokage nodded in understanding. But, during our fight with Madara, one of his attacks hit a book Naruto's carries and it unleashed something that was sealed inside it. The angel, the Anbu reported, I presume? The Hokage did not like the sound of this. Hi. He called himself Oturin Ikamazu and wasn't completely released from the old book Naruto has. He stole Naruto's shadow to make a new body and looks a lot like Naruto, but as you said, looked like an angel. He found out Naruto was dying thanks to stealing her shadow and then turned her into what she is now, as he needed her alive, and then changed me into this, saying he was in a giving mood, and turned me into whatever I am. Sasuke sighed. Don't worry about Itachi. I had Naruto put his soul in that doll, as she was able to make dolls real well, and we thought that if we made a doll cloth to what his body was like in appearance, it would accepted the doll as a temporary body. Sasuke told a half-truth and was mentally relieved when the Hokage nodded, believing it as he remembered Naruto bringing the doll everywhere one day suddenly 2 years ago. Naruto likes collecting old books and stuff, and found that book and discovered other stuff as well. But she also knew it had something sealed in it and kept it with her all the time to keep an eye on it. I see. I should take. No, all four people in the room looked at Naruto, who had sat up in the bed, looking at the Hokage with a serious look on her face. A grimoire will bind itself to the person who it chooses to allow to be its owner and keeper. The book Sasuke is speaking about is such a grimoire. How do you know this, Naruto? The Hokage asked. Because the book never leaves my side, even when I leave it behind. It will either float to follow me or teleport to my location. Naruto sighed, holding out her hand for the same grimoire that Sasuke remembered that the angel came out of to appearing in her hand. The grimoire automatically writes down the life of its current owner, giving the owner more of its power the more it is filled. And what happens when the grimoire is filled? The Hokage sighed, worried for Naruto's safety. This one, I don't know, as I have pretty good control over its powers. In a sort, from the research I have been doing to find out more about and keep whatever secrets contained within it bound within, other grimoires often give their owners their wish. Which is almost always to go back home. Sasuke looked at Naruto with shock. Why is that? Kakashi wondered why people would choose their home over wish. Because all the grimoires often take the owners of them to other worlds. Sasuke, Itachi, the Anbu, and the Hokage looked at Naruto with shock. I'm different? I ended up in the world this one brought me to for a bit, but then I ended back here. But, from what I remember, somehow Sasuke became a Numo of sorts. Wait, you mean, I became something from another world? Sasuke paled. No really. I think the reason my grimoire is different is thanks to the fact both this world and the other world had many similar things. Though now only humans are the only race here, while the other world has several races of beings there including humans. Numo is a race that went extinct around the time of the Rikudo Sennin along with a lot of other races, probably thanks to a very destructive demon known as Jubi was going around and causing chaos. Maybe the last Numo fell in love with the ancestors of the Uchiha and you were a rebound of blood and that wicked angel dude used it to make you like that. Naruto let out a sigh. What do these Numo look like? The Hokage asked as Naruto opened her grimoire. Like this. Naruto showed them a detailed sketch of a dog-like human who had a slouch back, soft-looking face with muzzle, droopy ears with earrings in it, and a tail that poked out of the robes the creature wore. They are very intelligent beings who are even-temper, which has made them very dependent on the now-lost arts of magic, which died out with the other races, as their bodies were not made for battle. But, if my theory is right, it could explain why the Uchiha clan was able to use the jutsu they copied easily even when the jutsu or other elements as Numo were well known in their abilities of casting berries of magic. So, if Sasuke became a Numo, human mix. Naruto corrected. Well, still, what about you? The Anbu held up a small mirror for Naruto's eyes to widen at her reflection with was see-through, but she could see her new feature. I became like a Feol Vieira. Naruto gasped in shock. A Feol Vieira? The Hokage asked. A mixed breed of Vieira, though I look more like the pure-blood Vieira. I remember hearing about the mixed breed in the other world, but they went extinct in a disaster. Vieira are a rabid humanoid race with heightened smelling and hearing. In fact, their hearing was believed to hear the voices of spirits and allowed them to form pacts with powerful summonings they could hear. Though, mostly a female race, some males did exist, though no one ever seen them, so the Vieira are always just said as an all-female race, as I think planned to call the males something else. Naruto sighed, flipping to a sketch which looked a lot like Naruto, but more rabbit-like. I see. So, this angel was the side effect. You two had a battle with the real killer of the Uchiha clan, and this angel could really be a possibly deadly summoning locked away in that book? The Hokage sighed. Possibly, as he called this grimoire, the grimoire of the outer worlds. The outer worlds are the worlds where those powerful summonings I said the Vieira could hear live. In fact, I just discovered how to contact those worlds and form pacts with the summonings there. Naruto sighed. You mean like that Raiden guy you summoned? Sasuke asked as the Hokage and Anbu looked at the blonde. Hi. He is the apprentice of the great lightning Esper Rama, which many summoners of the Vieira race could only summon the powerful Esper long enough for him to unleash a powerful lightning attack. I can, however, summon Espers now for longer periods of time. Boy, was Rama shocked when I summoned him with apprentice to form a pact with all lightning element Espers. Naruto sheepishly grinned while scratching the back of her head. Naruto, what are these Espers? The Hokage frowned at the blonde. They are magical beings, but espers goes for any being that can be summoned by magic. Their jobs can range from offensive to healing. Naruto got off the bed and frowned when she looked down while the Hokage looked at her with horror. So, my shadow was really stolen by that angel. Naruto sighed, looking at the ground to see no shadow under her. What the heck? Where is your shadow? The Anbu shouted in shock as the Hokage and ninja in the room completely forgot about what dangerous things the blonde was messing with. The angel took it to make a new body for himself. Naruto sighed, looking at her body. I see. He used magic glyphs to bind my body back together in this form in order to keep my body alive without my shadow, as if I die. So goes my shadow and the angel dies with it, as he now is bound to a mortal life because of it. I'm sort of the human version of a magical golem. Well, I guess I will have to train hard in order to defeat that angel and seal him back in the book. Naruto. That being could be dangerous. The Hokage shouted as Sasuke was also about to add in his 2 cents when Naruto spoke. I know. But, the only way I could get Naughty and I back to our old abodes is if I defeat him, as I have the one thing that contained it. Since it was my fault I was careless and let the book get hit in the battle which caused this mess, I feel responsible and I want to fix it even if it costs my life. Naruto looked down as the Hokage frowned. Naruto? Sasuke looked at the blonde with shock. He just thought Naruto really saw him as a thing, as he was her slave paying off a debt. He didn't realize the blonde actually cared about him and wanted to protect him from her problems. I guess I failed you as well. Naruto-kun, don't be sad. Sasuke, let go of me. Sasuke sighed, letting the doll run over to Naruto, who picked him up and contently eyes smiled when in the blonde's arms, hugging her back. Pervy Aniki. Sasuke grumbled as the Hokage sheepishly frowned at the cute scene before him, and the Anbu chuckled, wondering if this could turn out as a real-life version of Icha Paradise. Well, you two are lucky you're both escaped your battle with a legendary traitor of the Uchiha clan without any major wounds. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, adjusting his hat. I will have put down on the report that you didn't know the real killer, but I need a description of what Madara looks like for the attack, and say he is using a jutsu to control Itachi without showing it. No need for everyone to be going crazy finding out Madara is alive. Both Naruto and Sasuke nodded as Itachi was too content with being in Naruto's arms to do anything. I will also put down that the angel was an evil summoning unleashed from one of the objects at the Uchiha compound during the battle, and no one knew about it as it was a perfect normal-looking book, and it took on the form of an angel after stealing Naruto's shadow to make itself a body, as its mind and soul was sealed separately from its body. Hi, thank you for believing us. Sasuke bowed at the Hokage, grateful that he was finally able to tell someone of the truth other than Naruto and Itachi, and that someone believed him. It's alright. We will keep an eye out for Madara, as if you managed to survive a fight with him, even if he was underestimating you, he would be interested in you both. Especially from what I heard about your summoning abilities, Naruto. The Hokage glared at Naruto. Hey, don't worry. I will only use. Okay, I'll summon some to talk to, but other than that, I won't use the espers except for battle. They would get annoyed with me if I summoned them for stupid things like hurting an innocent person for calling me a demon. The Hokage and Anbu sweated, beginning to see why the blonde or now Snow White hair kid was messing around with lost arts. The summonings were the only people except probably Sasuke and his brother that really paid any attention to her, and they actually acknowledged the blonde as she was probably the first person to summon them, as they haven't been summoned in many decades. Unknown to either ninja, Naruto had her fingers crossed behind her back as Sasuke sweated, as he knew Naruto she would use the summonings for many things like pranks if the summonings wanted to join in. Itachi was planning his evil ways of getting rid of a single summon Holy Bunny, so only he would have Naruto's arms to himself. He was the only thing she could cuddle. Alright, the Hokage dispelled the jutsu. I will have some of the nurses bring you clothing to help hide your new features, as you both are well enough to be discharged from the hospital. The Hokage left the room and noticed the dog-masked Anbu following him. What is it, Kakashi? I wish to be dropped from the Anbu. Kakashi said, pulling out his favorite book Icha Paradise to read. I see. You have lived longer than most Anbu, so I guess you want to retire from being a ninja? The Hokage sighed at the lost. Nope, just downgrade some. Plus, if I am going to become a Jonin, I am interested in being a sensei of one or both of those two children. I mean, they both are kind of unique. Kakashi said with a chime. Plus, I need a break from the constant missions anyways, and I will keep a tab on those two for you as they will need to be watched in the village with now the way they look. The Kyuubi did have large ears, more like a rabbit than a fox. The Hokage sweated, remembering that strange detail as well and wondering why the heck the fox Biju had such ears. I see. I am fine with that. The Hokage sighed. He was just hoping Naruto wasn't going to go bad like his student Orochimaru did when he got his hands on power. The blonde tomboy already had enough reasons to go psycho on Konoha with the powers she has, so he was proud of the blonde for being still herself even though she is hiding her powers. But, then again, the villagers would demand for her death if they knew the Kyuubi contained could summon magic beings from lost arts. Which clan ghosts? Sasuke walked into the Uchiha compound wearing a gray oversized hoodie and white shorts. He frowned seeing all the souls still around as well as ghosts. He went to his house and found his parents standing before the doorway with Shisui. Sasuke, Makoto looked at her son with relief. He was alright. I'm sorry. The three Uchiha ghosts looked at Sasuke with shock as tears came from out behind his sunglasses which shone in the moonlight. I thought I could protect you all. But, I failed. It's alright, Sasuke. Sasuke looked at his father with shock. Shisui told us that you knew what was going on. At first, we were mad. Before we realized you were scared and knew we wouldn't believe you if you came out and told us what happened to Itachi and the fact Madara was out for blood. You tried to before, but couldn't. Father. Sasuke noticed tears in his father's eyes. I'm one who failed. I failed as the clan head for letting the council take control of the clan and lead all of us to the path of death. But, most of all, I failed as your father as I never noticed the changes in Itachi or the facts you knew what happened from the way you acted. You even trained hard to try and save us, but we were too far deep in the hole to be saved. Fugaku sighed, patting Sasuke's shoulder. Don't bother, try getting revenge. Makoto glared at her son. This is our payment for our stupidity as a clan. We let our anger cloud our judgment and we wish for you not to do the same. We want you to rebuild the Uchiha clan and make it much better than before. Mom, Dad, tears began to flow freely down Sasuke's face. I forgive you. His clan didn't hate him, even when he had turned into a strange creature. Hey, brat, what's with the get up? Sasuke flinched when Shisui maintained his clothing. You don't need to go all emo on us. Ack. The 8-year-old sweated as both his mother and father grabbed one of Shisui's ears each and pulled them. Sasuke is suffering from a horrible curse, an angel that escaped the blonde witch's book during the fight. Though, personally, I don't see it as bad as Sasuke does look like a cute dog now because of it. Makoto chimed as her husband shook his head. Sasuke, don't worry about the curse. We blame ourselves for you ending up that way. If we hadn't been so blind. Our deaths, Itachi's soul, your curse. None of it would have happened. Fugaku sighed, ruffling Sasuke's hair with a caring smile on his face. The only thing we do wish you to do is save Itachi's body. I bet he is feeling horrible being stuck in that doll body. HMPH. Sasuke snorted to keep from laughing. As if. That perv enjoys being with Naruto. All the Uchiha ghosts sweated at Sasuke. I'm not a perv. Shisui, Sasuke's parents, and Sasuke looked up to see Naruto on the roof with Itachi in her arms. I only like Naruto-kun. I would be a perv if I looked at all sorts of women. Itachi shouted in protest as the Jinchuriki jumped down and gracefully landed on the ground, though her hood dropped, showing off her rabbit ears and snowy white hair with hints of gold. Even if so, I still see you as a perv, as since you only have some of your memories as the rest are still in your body. You don't hide your real self and you're a selfish, greedy perv. Sasuke glared at his brother. Why you? If I wasn't out of energy, I would beat you. Itachi growled, shaking his clothed hand and arm at him while glaring back. Now, stop fighting. Naruto sighed as the ghosts except Sasuke and Itachi's parents and Shisui were looking at her with fear. What are you guys and gals so fearful of? I'm just a witch. The Kyuubi has possessed you. Your ears are that of a lost race known as Viera, a rabbit-like race. Naruto sighed. My sensei in magics is a Viera in a world where races that were lost here many years ago are still around. Wait, Naruto, you mean to say that you are planning to go stay in your sensei's world when you said Konoha would finally kick you out of the academy? Sasuke asked, remembering what Naruto said before to him. Hi, Naruto looked up at the moon. The reason the Uzumaki clan from Whirlpool are good at seals is, what I had found, used to have a deep connection with Vieira which helped form their talent in seals. The same skill Whirlpool was destroyed out of fear. By going to this other world, I can make sure my burden will not hurt anyone, as like what happened to my mother, as there are times when the Kyuubi seals weakens as magic seals are more powerful than Fuinjutsu. Plus, I know there will be very few people who will accept me, so I want to start anew in another world and make a clan, which in that would is a large group of mercenaries who work together to do missions and such. But, I'm not able to leave here and make the few people who do care about me worry. Which is why I am waiting for the perfect moment to leave without them worrying. In a sense, my wish is the opposite of grimoire owners. I wish to leave my home for good. Then, I want you to take Itachi and me with you. Naruto fell over as all the ghosts looked at Sasuke. Even with the report the Hokage gave, people will still see Itachi as the murderer, and there is already the fact the Uchiha clan's own sins. Like you said, I am your slave until my debt is paid, and I don't think I will pay it off before you leave from what the amount you charged me with the bill for asking for your help. Plus, even after getting Itachi's body back, I don't think he can bear to be left behind. Sasuke sighed as Itachi was hugging tightly onto Naruto, his eyes giving the best possibly watering expression without tears. Like what my clan wants. I want to make a better Uchiha clan, so starting anew is maybe the best thing to do. Ah, Naruto glared at the raven hair boy. Fine, but you better not think about taking my spotlight, as you should know a clan here is not the same as a clan in the other world. I'm going to make the greatest clan there. I know, and I am going to help you. Sasuke sighed before looking at his parents. Is that alright? At least, if we can't get the curse lifted, we will at least have a place that could possibly accept us for what we are. I'm fine with it, we just want to be with you when. Wait a second, Uzumaki-san said souls could take the form of their original bodies when put in objects. Or dolls when a witches put them in them. Fugaku smirked. Heck no. Naruto and Sasuke said as the ghost sweated. I'm already up to my neck in debt for having Naruto put Itachi's soul in a doll. And, she won't take Ryu as payment. Sasuke groaned. Then, turn it to gold. You can use that to change into whatever currency of the other world. Fugaku frowned at his son. Still no. You don't even know the blonde's prices. If I had her put you all in dolls, our future generations would be forced to pay off the debt to her and her family for many years. Sasuke and his father began to glare at each other, neither wanting to budge before Sasuke's eyes widened when he remembered what Naruto said about souls and objects before in the battle. Ack! Fugaku was shocked when Sasuke grabbed him in the chest area for him to turn into soul form. What you doing? Fugaku shouted in fury as Sasuke pulled out a kunai while all the dead clan and the witch looked at Sasuke with shock. Seeing if I finally figured out my abilities. Sasuke pushed chakra into the kunai before pushing his father's soul into the kunai for him to throw it, and where it landed, it puffed for his father to appear before them, in flesh and blood. W-H-Ek? Fugaku gasped in total shock and surprise. None of the clan blamed their usually stoic clan head for such a reaction. Being suddenly revived back to the land of the living was what none of the ghosts expected. My chakra allows souls to do what Naruto does to doll. Sasuke smirked at his discovery. I can also use my body to take on the skills of other people, which is how I must have really awakened my Sharingan. I put Itachi's soul in my 2 years ago to keep him from fading away, and as Naruto told me, turn into a monster. He had an activate Sharingan. Sasuke chimed, realizing now his abilities and beginning to see how they work. Now, if only you can find a way to get souls into your body without eating them, naughty. Naruto chuckled as Sasuke's face went beet red. Don't remind me of that. I still gagged thinking of that as you trusted your arm down my throat to get Itachi's soul out. It still creeps me out. Sasuke cried, trying to punch Naruto as she dodged easily. Ah, they would make a cute couple, don't you think, Fugaku? It's just like Kushina and Minato. Makoto chimed, remembering the funny, but deep love Konoha's yellow flash and Uzumaki's red hot-blooded habanero had. It was almost as funny as her love with Fugaku, as it took everything she had just to get under his skin and get him to open up. No, honey, I think that's more like a family relationship right there. Fugaku sighed as all the dead Uchiha sweated at how Itachi managed to headbutt Sasuke and began to attempt to beat down Sasuke with his cloth body, saying he would skin his brother alive if he harmed Naruto. Clearly, either Naruto will be marrying Itachi or Itachi would be the one to be like the overprotective father and make sure whoever married the blonde never breaks her heart, or he will kill the man that does. But, how long do you think I can hold this body, as I don't think this is a permanent resurrection? Fugaku asked for Makoto and the other Uchiha to shrug. Unknown to the dead and fighting living, they never noticed masked person that kind of looked like an Enbu member was watching what was going on, even though the person couldn't see the ghosts. Danzo-sama would like to know of this. The masked person left, not wanting to be caught if indeed the Uchiha clan were now ghosts. Which clan ghosts? It seems my powers are somewhat limited. Otorin Ikamazu sighed as he walked through some isolated mountains. He was quite disappointed he spent a good amount of power giving what the owner of the grimoire somewhat wished for and gave the boy close to her power to protect her. Well, at least now, I won't have to worry about her being in trouble, so I can focus on my task ahead. I just hope she won't be mad for it taking me so long for me to get it done. The boy sighed before smiling as he saw a tea shop ahead on the lonely path. He didn't know why, but now he developed quite a liking to what humans call tea. Not that the magical being care about now feeling such like hunger now having a physical body, as Humes had made some very nice foods. He just wanted to complete his duty and get his real body of mana back.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.